What's up, fam? Hex in the morning. Your boy GRC right here. I have a feeling we're gonna hit the 1,000 sub mark while we're on the show. Boom! I'm trying to amp myself up because I had a shitty day. You gotta amp yourself up sometimes, guys. Whoo! Let's go, guys. I'm so excited for the show today. We have special guest Abit doing a presentation with Sam Stolt watching. Interacting the whole time. I want you guys to get locked in. This community is so great, how it holds everyone up together. Presentations, websites, everything. Guys, the Hex community is the best community in the world. I'm a little kerflustered, but I'm going to throw up a bicep.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Point one every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pulsechain's out, now get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex, I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this pulsechain Lango. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this pulsechain Lango. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Nice.
Oh, guys, let's go. Abit in the house. Sam Stolt, how's everybody doing?
What's up?
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, man, how are you doing? I was looking forward to hearing your presentation and like learning about the in-depth like details of Hex that you've been covering for 6 months. I was looking forward to that.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I'm really excited. Seriously, I'm really excited. Yesterday, I was texting Jimrat, and my heart was beating because I was not doing this presentation for a couple of weeks now. And normally, I would do the presentation with Hexline. Hexline is my Sam, Jimrat. So I think you and me, we are pretty close to each other, and Sam and Hexline is pretty close. So Hexline, Sam, I just already called you Hexline. Today, I need you and Crypto Jimrat, of course, as well, and the chat to ask all the questions while I'm doing the presentation. Normally, it would take 1 hour. I guess with me alone, it would be like 25 minutes or something like this. So ask a lot of questions.
This is incredible, Abit. I'm so happy you came today. You have a presentation. This guy's working his butt off, trying to spread the message, check his own work. He's checking his own work. He wants to know if it could be better, I'm sure. He wants to know if he could do better. We love that on this show, Sam.
Yes. Okay. So, and I just let everybody know in the comments, if you have a question, at myself or GRC so that we can see it pop up because it comes up with like a yellow tag and it's easier visually to just be like, oh, there it is. Like while Abit's going through his presentation today. I actually just got one of my questions answered last night by the producer who was helping out in the background. He shared a
producer Bullish.
Bullish, what's up, Bullish? If you guys see him in the comments, say what's up. But in terms of the end stake, why is the end stake more costly? And I've asked several people this and was not able to get a clear answer. Last night on the Twitter Spaces with Bullish in there, he's like, hey, Sam, let me send you this website. Maybe it'll be helpful, right? And so I read through the website, and in 2 sentences, it answers the question very, very clearly and very, very simply. Sorry.
Real quick.
And Sam, is it the one you posted on Twitter? Because I want to ask you, is this text specifically for Hex, or is it also for Ethereum staking, for example?
I will pull it up right now and I'll share that with you guys.
Damn, this question was bending minds last night, and for good reason, because it's one of those questions that does not get asked very often.
And this is, so the question is, what, so everybody's like, oh, your end stake costs more money than a regular stake. Your end stake, you have because it's a longer duration. So nobody had a clear answer to why that is. And the simplest answer, actually, I just pulled this up. So I'll read through this. Ending a stake.
I'll read this real quick. The reason it costs longer to end stake. Wait, what is that? TOGL?
I was probably trying to do this very quick in the gym.
Anyway, ending a stake by any method requires significantly more gas than creating one, as it is much more computationally intensive. Miners need to calculate the accrued interest for each day up to the maturation. Consequently, the longer the stake, the more gas is consumed to conclude it.
So here I would like to jump in because it says miners need to calculate the accrued interest. That's why my question is this specifically for Hex, this text, or is it for all the staking?
So this came from a site called, let's see if I can share this tab. So if you guys can see the site, it's Hexagon Blogs. Hexagons.info is the site, and this is the article that it was in. So I believe it's specific to Hex because that's all it's talking about. The website is Hex.
Oh, look, there's my meme.
This is your meme down here?
Yeah.
Wait. I want to read it.
Go ahead. Read it out loud.
Hex is done. Hex is done. It will provide Hexagons with trustless interest and corruption and make crypto what it was supposed to be. All they have to do is stake and speak the truth about it, or they will be sacrificed. It is true, though. It is a finished product. I love that.
So from my understanding, that reading through that, and that's just a very short, like two sentences there, the simple answer to why an end stake costs more is because of the design decision to accrue interest daily. There's a accounting that says, hey, GRC earned 14 hex today from his stakes, or whatever that number is for each individual stake. And at the end of 4,000 days, there's 4,000 data points that need to be processed. So that requires more computational power than if you had something for 2 days, right? And the example I go to is if I have a big spreadsheet with 20,000 data points, and even if I'm doing a simple function like some type of multiplication or division in the spreadsheet, it takes longer for my computer to process it than if I just have 10 data points and I need to do a simple function there. So it's just more computational power.
My question, is it an estimate or is it at the end of the day, the GUI times whatever?
Well, so what it ends up being is literally a log. So you have this log every day. It says GRC, okay, you earned 14 today, 13 yesterday, 14 tomorrow, 14 tomorrow, 14 tomorrow, 4,000 times every day.
When that 14 goes through for that day, if it was 14 on the next day, would it be the same number?
Yes. So here's why Richard Hart was able to bring the computation power down a lot, because the legacy world banking system has the same problem. They need to pay interest to every single holder that is holding money in their bank, right? So what they have to do, it's a big problem. They have to calculate Jimrat's crypto bank account and then calculate on how much interest they are giving him. Every single time they have to do that for every single customer, really close to the Hex smart contract. So now Richard Hart is giving out, or not the Richard Hart, but the Hex smart contract is giving out interest based on how many T-shares you have. So the smart contract needs to calculate for your stake only once how many T-shares you have, and then use the calculation on how many interest were given out every single day, times your T-shares, boom, you got your interest. So the computation power that Richard Hart was able to put in here is way less than other smart contracts need, for example. And it is because of the T-share system.
Abit, a question on this. So when somebody brought this up last night, and when you think about the end stake and the cost to it, because it's, say somebody does 5,000 days, that's going to cause the maximum amount of fee involved because it's computationally the most amount of data a computer or miner has to process. Yes. So when you think about this, somebody could easily solve this just by having HEX instead of being daily interest accruing. Maybe if you stake for 1 year, it's daily. If you stake for 2+ years, then you accrue on a quarterly basis or something. Then it would be a lot less of those computational things. Or is it far more complex than that? That would be more challenging to do.
It's far more complex because it is way easier how it is done right now, that every single day the smart contracts produces more coins. Where do those coins go to? To all the T-shares in existence, right? And this needs to happen every single day. Why? Because HEX is a dynamic system. Sometimes we have emergency end stake penalties, late stake penalties, early end stake penalties, and they all go into this one day of where it occurred. And now this day is a little bit higher of interest, and so it needs to be distributed on that day to all the T-shares. Otherwise, if you would do it like once a year, then those people could not get the interest from that penalties, you know?
Gotcha. Okay, so is there a transaction on the Ethereum network by the smart contract every day at 8 p.m. EST?
No, the smart contract only works and does something if you or I run a function. Somebody needs to pay the transaction fee in order to call a function. Let's say end stake. Without us, the users, doing anything, the smart contract cannot do anything by itself.
Okay, so somebody was mentioning last night that there was a transaction every day. That is inaccurate then, from what you're saying.
When there is a transaction every day, this just means that.
So it was in relation to interest. So she was like, and she was just trying to help, like not trying to say that she was getting bad information. She was just like, that was her understanding, but saying that every day at the time of like the 24-hour tick over whatever you are in the world, wherever that is, that there's a transaction attached to that, like in the contract or something. And
it's not really a transaction because yes, coins are produced, coins are like the inflation is produced, but it's not getting sent. There is no transaction.
So is it kind of just like it's like me putting a note on this paper, but kind of thing, or and so to speak, it's kind of done, but without nobody else has to see this paper. But if I was showing the internet this paper, like everything that I wrote down, that could be construed as like that's the transaction. So it's getting logged that Abit's this address accrues this much interest, but it's just on this piece of paper, and that transaction doesn't actually take place until the end of the stake or your emergency end stake or something along those lines.
Exactly. This is exactly how you could say it. And the piece of paper here would represent go.hex.com. If you go to go.hex.com and you have your stake, next to it, there's how many T-shares this stake has. And the smart contract pays out HEX to those T-shirts every single day. But you cannot touch those HEX. You can only do it once you end your stake, right? So only once you end your stake, those HEX come into existence and again, and then one transaction is done.
Okay,
and who is paying for that transaction? You are paying for this transaction.
Okay, I want to touch on two comments that I saw in the comments here. There was one from Crypto Games Club. You have to understand S-load function. Does that make sense to you? Can you explain that?
Yes.
Or is that part of your presentation that you'll get to?
The S-load function is not part of my presentation. It would go way too deep. What I want to do with the presentation is just explain HEX briefly so the people understand how this goes. And this is already a rabbit hole here.
Okay, so let's get to your presentation, and then we will interrupt you. Feel free to interrupt anybody in the comments with questions, but let's get into the presentation, and then we'll go from there, because I have questions. I'm sure I'll have questions about your presentation, but just me relating to HEX on ETH versus HEX on Pulse and how that's going to play out. And I'm sure that you've had other people ask you those questions. So hopefully we can.
These are definitely advanced questions. On my presentation, I have a lot of hexagons that brought their newcomers, right? So we can explain HEX to them. And those kind of questions normally come to the end when we say, hey, everything that we talk to you right now is on the Ethereum blockchain, and there's a new blockchain coming out at the end. And then sometimes those kind of questions are coming. But guys, Pulse and Pulse X is not even out. I myself have to learn about that as well. So sometimes I do not have every answer there for
We'll
you.
be helping you with that on this show in the morning.
Nice.
Yes, we're going to be covering that. Go ahead, Abit. I'm curious to see this presentation.
Me too. I'm very excited.
All right, so be your own bank and realize your dreams, because I invested in Hex 2 years ago and was able to find financial freedom. And now I want to teach everybody out there that they can do the same, because I believe if I can do it, you guys can do it easily. So first of all, the US road trip, our slogan was on the way to $7. $7 was my price prediction for March 2020. Unfortunately, did not happen, but we will get there eventually. Well, Crypto Sparbook team, who is that? It's me, it's Patrick, Mars, and Dan. We are 4 guys putting together a team of 12 people to do then the 5555 tour. And you can find all our stuff. And now I think my iPad just somehow turned off. Let me see if I can fix that. No, it's
no
the
worries.
battery.
Why don't
Do you guys still see the presentation?
I see this Crypto Sparbuck Abit page.
Let me put down the presentation because my iPad just froze or something like this.
Take
I
your
will
time.
put up the
Take your
presentation
time.
again.
Well, Abit's doing that for somebody who's watching this for the first time. Abit, while you're pulling that up, GRC, why is it called the 555?
555 is
Why
the
is it
maximum
called the
staking
555?
length. 555 is because it's the maximum staking length in Hex, and we are Hexicans. We are really, really proud of our numbers, the 369, the 5555, and everything like this.
You can see that.
369.
You can see that in the comment section from several people. Did your thing pull back up? Were you able to get it back up?
Let's see.
Yep, I think it did. Yeah, here we go.
Is it there? All right. So no, I cannot see you guys anymore, but I have
That's
you
okay.
in my ears.
I think I'm going to pull it up all the way real quick.
And is the screen big?
Yes, sir.
Yep, it's all the way.
All right, perfect. All right, so YouTube, Telegram, Twitter, Instagram, and Pulse. Pulse is another app created by somebody from our team. Check it out. And Abit_Hex just for travel content and for lifestyle content as well. So let's get into this presentation on how to be your own bank and why we choose Hex to present it to the people. So first of all, I want to show you all the fundamentals that we have in Hex. Hex is safe and secure. This is the most time it's the problem to bring the people to crypto because it's so complicated. And they are afraid to lose their money. But in Hex, Richard Hart took several steps to make it safe and secure. One of those steps were 3 audits. We have 1 economic audit and 2 audits for the code by external companies to make sure everything is running smoothly. And this results in 100% uptime. This is really important because we want to get rid of the banks that are sometimes not allowing us to transfer our money. Sometimes it's not that crucial. Sometimes it's Sunday and they're not open. In Hex, you're able to transfer your money 24/7 and you're always sovereign with your money. This is really important. The next fundamental that we have, also from Richard Hart, one of his fundamentals, is you hold your own keys. And this is so important because of that, we do not have any middlemen and we do not have to trust any middlemen. Just like the bank, if you put your money there, this is a middleman, this is a counterparty.
Abit.
Yeah.
I had a question for you. You said 3 audits, 1 economic audit and 2 code audits. What is an economic audit?
Economic audit is just 2 + 2 is 4. Is that true? Yes. So a company checked the code. If you have this many T-shares and the code is running for that long, do you really get all the Hex you were promised? And the answer in this economic audit was yes. There are mathematicians doing those audits way smarter than we are to check if the calculations and the code really works out.
That's cool. So they actually manually, like somebody does that for a living and like looks at this stuff?
Oh yeah, so Richard Hart
cool.
paid more than $40,000 for this audit, and I think he did it twice, or maybe even 3 times where he had to pay. And this is why we have 3 audits. You
Now
can find them
me,
on hex.com as well. They're public.
Richard Hart was kind of the first one to bring from what I've noticed. I don't know if this is true. I didn't hear too much about audits, and now these audits seemed legit, but now everyone says they get a bunch of audits that are complete bullshit. So the whole audit system is basically destroyed because everyone just advertises that they get audits, and then guys are just like, oh, they got audits. That's good. But
well,
really,
if somebody's asking on GitHub if somebody could make an audit, I could raise my hand and I could make this audit. And if they are liking what they're seeing, they will pay me. So Richard Hart had basically the same problem. He had to find people that understand T-shares, people that understand the economic side of Hex. He was able to find them. I think it's the biggest audit company in the whole world, and they are based in Switzerland. So
that's where Ethereum's like foundation started. I think is in Switzerland. I think.
All right.
I read the book or whatever, and that's what they said in the book. If it's accurate, but sorry, go ahead.
And that's why he's on Hex in the morning every day. He's the man. But you have any other questions on this part, Sam?
No, sorry. Thank you for allowing me to interrupt.
And I think that was an important trajectory to say the audits were done. They actually were done by reputable companies, but now the audit system is kind of destroyed in crypto until further notice, I guess, until someone makes it legitimate, which I don't know if that's possible. Is it possible to make like a legitimate company that everyone is reputable about and like you have to go through them, or will everyone just be using buzzwords because crypto is so like buzzy now?
I think the problem is that it is humans that are testing the code, and humans are always making mistakes. So there's always that factor, I guess. So you were saying if you're asking about the guarantee that you make an audit and then it's like 100%, right?
Yeah, I was like, is that possible in any way, or is it kind of audit is kind of for marketing purposes?
I just know that Bitcoin got 2 inflation bugs and there was no audits. And now with Richard Hart doing audits, we are way, way safer. Hex gets attacked for sure. People are trying to destroy it, right? But nothing has happened so far. We had 100% uptime.
Which is dope. Okay, so you said it says no. You hold your keys. Can you just briefly say why that's important? Because I'm going to take this video and I'm going to share this with other people when I'm done. Because if I talk to people about Hex, I'll be like, well, just go watch this video. Like this is
this is going to be perfect. I'm going to cut this out and send it all over the internet and tag you guys in all of it.
Yeah. So why? Go ahead.
You holding your own keys is so important because crypto was invented to get rid of middlemen. Every single time when you do not hold your own keys, then somebody else is doing it for you. Let's say you buy your crypto at crypto.com and now you have 1 Bitcoin and they are telling you you can earn 5% interest when you lock up your Bitcoin on our site, crypto.com. Right? You're doing this, and maybe after 1 or 2 years, crypto.com goes bankrupt for whatever reason. There could be a war. The government could say crypto is illegal now. Now they are going down, and you are not able to access your money. Why? Because those keys were not held by you, but by crypto.com, for example. So Richard Hart is doing an amazing thing. He was able to produce a product where people take now their funds off those centralized exchanges and put it into their own wallet. It is amazing. Satoshi Nakamoto would be so happy for that. And now he did it again, right? With PulseX and Pulse Sacrifice. People were taking out their crypto from centralized exchanges and send it to somewhere where it belongs.
It's funny you bring that up because I think I might have touched on this one other time, but I actually got my first full Bitcoin back in 2013. For a payment for something, and the exchange, the guy who was behind the exchange basically stole it and then got arrested. So like it really does happen. It's not just some in fantasy land. Like it literally happened to me. But go ahead. Thank you for sharing that. Can you go to the next?
And this is counterparty risk, and we do not want that at all. So Richard Hart says, if you are programming money, the first thing you program in is trustless interest. So you are incentivized to hold your coins and also get interest from that. And Richard Hart was able to do that with his T-share system. Really easy to explain. I will go into that later. But the average of 37%, I think by now it should be 38. It's always going up and down a little bit because Hex is a dynamic system. So the average of 37% of interest that you can make, this is actually the core fundamental for me in Hex, because now I can use my money to make more money, and I do not have to have any counterparty risk. No bank, no government, nobody. So these are the fundamentals in Hex, but I believe every single crypto should have these fundamentals. And later on, we will look into other projects and maybe see where are the problems in crypto overall. So you guys, I want you to understand Hex entirely. How does it work? The T-share system. How can you make trustless interest without any counterparty risk? So it is really important to understand the Hex smart contract. But of course, I know the people also want to talk about price. So first, we're going to talk about the Hex price and how it was able to get up 10,000x. And then when we are done talking about the price, I will not mention it at all anymore. And from that point, we will only talk about the Hex smart contract and how the Hex smart contract produces more Hex for everybody. So here you guys see the Bitcoin. And did I lag for a second here? Here you see that Hex is outperforming every single crypto you see here, Ethereum, Bitcoin, but also the Amazon and the S&P 500. This graph is from December 31st, 2019. And what is really interesting here is, can you see my cursor? No? But you see the...
Yes, we can now.
Yeah, we can.
We can now. Perfect. All right. So maybe I'm just lagging a little bit. So you see, this was the COVID dip. When the whole market, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Amazon was going down, Hex was actually going up. And this has to do with some design decisions Richard was making during that time. It has to do with Hart's law. And normally I'm telling the people to ask this question in the Q&A, but maybe we can talk about this right now. Why did Hex go up and everything else went down? So at this point, we have to understand the only thing that matters for the price is buying and selling. When people buy an asset, the price goes up. When people sell an asset, the price goes down. And in the COVID times, there were a lot of FUD in all of the markets. So people sold their asset, maybe for gold or whatever. And in crypto, the people actually start buying Hex, right? And this is why it went up. There's also something interesting how the Hex liquidity works out. The other reason why Hex went up while everything else was going down, it's called Hart's law. Bitcoin, Ethereum, or all the other cryptos, they are going up and down together. You have probably seen that already. And Richard Hart is calling this phenomenon Hart's law. All assets that are interchangeable with each other going up and down. But Hex has a special position here because the most liquidity in Hex is not in Ethereum, it is in USDC. So when Bitcoin is going down, Hex does not go down too much, only a little bit. So I think this is really, really interesting.
That I don't see. If you look at like so this is the scale, the chart here, right? It says logarithmic scale in X's, right? So the number of multiples that it's gained over a period of time relative to BTC, Amazon, etc. Right? Well, when you look at the price chart of ETH and the price chart of BTC and the price chart of Hex, they look closely correlated. Like I've looked at it on, say, Nomics or on Coin Market Cap, and they look very closely correlated.
Yeah. For sure. You see it here, for example, right? Like everything is going up. Hex is going up as well. This is because of Hart's law. But this situation right here has nothing to do with Hart's law. This situation is seriously just people buying Hex when everything else was going down. But yes, Bitcoin and Ethereum or Ethereum and Hex are still correlated a little bit because the liquidity of Hex is 15% in Ethereum.
Okay, I can touch on it later. I can touch on it later. I'll try to find it at some point and pull it up and then ask you about it at that point. But go ahead to the next.
This chart is important to understand the price here, that the only thing that matters for price is buying and selling. Oh, and then something I forgot to say on the chart as well. Look at the Amazon 500 and the Amazon and the S&P 500. Those are the assets where the richest people in the world got phenomenal wealth out of it. And how did they do it? They did it with compounding interest. And in Hex, we have something like compounding interest as well. And this is what the second part of the presentation is all about. I want to show you how important it is to understand the compounding interest in Hex, because that's really where the opportunity is. So here you see Hex is outperforming BTC and Ethereum from its start. So when Bitcoin started, you see the price performance here, and also the price performance of Ethereum. And Hex is outperforming those two right now. Why is that? I think it is because of this fundamental
launch,
game
right?
theory. This is from Hex launch, from Bitcoin launch, from
So
Ethereum
these are all
launch.
from the launches of each of these coins, and these are the three most explosive price charts probably in the world.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So
would say these are the three most explosive price charts that have ever existed, and Hex is outperforming them at this moment in time comparatively on this chart.
we could ask, why is that? I think it is really easy to explain. It is product market fit. Bitcoin had product market fit when it came out. People needed to do trustless transactions on the blockchain. A couple of years later with Ethereum had product market fit again because people wanted to have programmed money, and Bitcoin does not do that. And now with Hex being the better Bitcoin, we have product market fit again. And this is why Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Hex was able to make those insane gains. And now here is the catch, guys. I believe because of the problems we have right now in crypto, having these kind of transaction costs, pulsechain will have a product market fit again. So I'm expecting the pulsechain chart to look like the Hex chart here as well. Because Bitcoin did it, Ethereum did it, Hex did it.
So can you tell, because if there's going to be people who are new, have never understood that, they're not going to know what you mean by what is happening with the transactions on Ethereum. You just said there with what's happening with the transaction costs on Ethereum. Can you talk to that second?
Yeah, everybody loves Ethereum. Everybody loves doing transaction on Ethereum. Right now we have an NFT hype, for example. People are trading and sending their NFTs. And every single time you do a transaction on Ethereum blockchain, those miners, they are competing for this transaction. They want the transaction fee. So what the consumer is doing, right? They are putting up the transaction fee really high. And now the fees, the miners want to have those high fees. And now we are all bidding us up and the transaction fees are getting high. I always explain it like a highway. When there are a lot of cars on the highway, it takes you a long time to get to your destination, and probably it will cost you a little bit more as well.
Oh, that's a good example. Yes. To get, let's say hi to Motley and Rusty. What's up, fellas? But getting on the highway when you're in 5 o'clock traffic and everybody's on the highway too, you're not going 60 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour. You're going 30 or 25 or sometimes
you have a supercar and you go on the outside.
Maybe. So go ahead.
Of course, you could make this example with, of course, now you are flying, but then everybody is flying at one point, and now this is getting more expensive too. So here we have Hex shines, others fail. Hex has 3 orders, 100% uptime, no inflation bug or anything like this. And here you see, for example, Bitcoin had 2 inflation bugs where somebody was able to exploit the code and print as many Bitcoin as they wanted. And what happens to the Bitcoin price when this happens? It goes down a lot. And we see other cryptocurrencies like Solana. Solana got hacked. The founder of Solana chose to use his admin keys to make the blockchain shut off so the hacker could not transact his coins. But also you and me, the normal Solana user, could not use his coins anymore. And this is counterparty risk. This is why we do not want to have any counterparty risk, no middleman, no admin keys. This is really important.
Well, this is a powerful chart. This is a very powerful chart. Every single one of these. So there's Ripple. It says
there's many more. There's many more too, I'm sure. There's
like also prominent names like Binance, IOTA, for example, right? Like Bitcoin is the most prominent name.
KuCoin's on there, Bitcoin's on there, Chainlink's on there. But these are the main problem is that these people, in order to fix the problem, Sam, they just shut off everything. And then I can't get any of my money. Who knows what's going to happen to the price? And let's say all my life savings is in one of those things. And they're like, whoopsie, somebody did something. I have to shut everything off. And then you're screwed. You're just screwed. And it happens every other week. And no one says anything about it.
So in Hex, we always say we have a finished product, and we are so proud of it. So, but why is that important? First of all, there are no middlemen. Richard Hart cannot stop me from transacting my Hex, right? But also there's the whole game theory in Hex. For example, that Hex inflates by 3.69%, right? Can that ever change? No, not even Richard Hart himself or any other people can change this inflation by 3.69% because it is coded into the code, and there are no admin keys, not able to change. And why is that amazing? Because if I get into Hex today, I know in 15 years, the inflation is still going to be 3.69%.
Hey, a question. Are you going to get more into staking in a minute, I'm assuming?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, I'll ask the question then.
This is just the price talk. Normally, I do not like to talk about price at all because of what you are seeing here. The price is going up and down like crazy, right? We are in crypto. You can probably not see it too well because it's so small on the presentation for the workshop. It works way better. But what you see here on this price chart is that Hex had 80, 70, and 60% dips all the time. We are finding an all-time high. Somebody is saying, all right, I have enough gains. I want to sell now. And the price is going down. And then because of this amazing game theory that we have, we find a new all-time high. And then somebody is saying, hey, the gains are great. Now I'm going to sell. And the price is going down again. And it happened 8 times. So why is that? What is that amazing game theory? In Hex, we have programmable money. We make money with our money, right? We lock it up. You already know that we can stake our money in Hex. If you stake your money in Hex, you will most likely not touch it and sell it because you're incentivized to do so. And because of this game theory, there are more people coming in because they're seeking this yield, but all the other people are staking. So we will find a new all-time high every single time. And
interesting. So with this chart, so we've got 81% 20 days in 20 days. So that means the price, and this is the first one on the bottom left. It says that the price, if I'm interpreting it correctly, the price has come down 81% in 20 days. Is that accurate?
Exactly. It was even a little bit more. The chart should have started a little bit higher here, but the first 2 weeks they are not in this chart. But yes, in 20 days, the chart, the price dropped 81%. And then when we found a new all-time high, it dropped to 72%, and it took 37 days to find this low point. And then it went up again. This chart only shows the dips. It only shows how much it went down. Why is that important? Because every single time it recovered again. Show me another crypto chart that looks like this. Here's how a chart in crypto looks like normally. It goes up like this, then it falls down, and it never recovers.
Okay, interesting.
Right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, thank you. Because I think also highlighting it from this point of view, which we've all talked about separately or at different times, is that like there is gigantic swings in price. Like you got to be prepared for those. And highlighting it here, I think is important because if somebody chooses to put something, like invest into something, like you have to understand that this kind of thing is just in the cards, right? Like it's just part of the game. That's what happens when you put money in cryptocurrency. Like there's giant swings.
That's why you get the gains, is because of the volatility as well. It's like the reason that we get to benefit so much is because we understand the volatility. You know, it's a part of how these things work. And once the volatility is no longer there, the gains will no longer be as significant.
Go ahead, Abit.
The gains in dollar terms might not be that significant, but the gains in Hex terms will always be there. In 15 years, the Hex price can be $7,770. We will still earn 40% interest if we lock up the average staking duration. But now I think we are now done talking about the Hex price. The Hex price is amazing because of its game theory. This is what we want to talk now. Okay, for our workshop, I see, totally forgot, now would be the time for the people to understand, okay, how does the staking work? We can go into that really quick. Just how do you get your dollars into crypto, and then from a centralized exchange into your MetaMask, from your MetaMask in go.hex.com or the staker app just to stake it, and then the way out. I do not want to go too much in that right now. You guys already know we have online wallets, hardware wallets, and the Gnossi Smart Wallet. The Gnossi Smart Wallet we wanted to put in our presentation here because we were using the staker app in order to generate smart wallets and send the 5,555 Hex to one winner that generated the Gnossi Smart Wallet, or only has a MetaMask that would work as well.
You got a fan in the comments there. Jory Hex, Abit, you are so cute.
Such a cutie.
Well, that's my girl. She's like sitting in front of the bed right now.
I was gonna say, I was like, I ain't getting any fans on here. What the heck? Good to
So-
see you, Abit's girlfriend. Glad you tuned in.
The last part is just for the security. We go through with the people really quick, and now the workshop really starts talking about T-shares and talking about how Hex Smart Contract produces more Hex, and you are able to profit from that. Here are some numbers that we have from Staker app, really important numbers. I will just go down and explain those 3 numbers down there. We have about 90,000 stakers. This chart is a little bit old. So 90,000 stakers, they staked about $7 billion for an average duration of 6.3 years. So the 6.3 years, you will see that number later on in the presentation as well. For me, it is really important number, and it's important to understand how do you get the 37% of interest in average.
So
all has to,
I'm sorry. So on this chart, the 82,000 stakers, that's old data, right? It's actually closer to 90,000.
Yeah, I think it's
yes, exactly. That's all data from like 3 weeks ago.
Okay. So 3 weeks ago was 82, and today is closer to
numbers
90.
are ridiculous, Sam.
Yeah,
When I got in, Sam, it was 25,000 stakers, and that was on May 1st
of 2021.
2021, and it was under 30,000. I remember it was under 30,000 stakers.
Where could somebody go to see the most up-to-date stats that you have here?
Staker.app. You just download the Staker app, and there you have exactly those global stats. Sam, do you not have the Staker app yet?
I do not.
No way.
Sam,
this
so
is crazy.
The Staker app also is used as an interface that you can look at all your all the stats. So there's there's lots of stats on Staker app as well. A lot of people just use the Staker app because it shows you all your Hex stats separated from your wallet.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was just more so for that functionality of like being able to stake and like making it easier or whatever it is for people. And if I didn't realize this information was in there, so I just wrote it down on my
Definitely download
list.
the Staker app. Of course, you can create a smart wallet, but you do not have to do it. I myself didn't do it for the longest of time, and I just put in my MetaMask address, my public MetaMask address in there, and it showed me all my stakes. I totally love it. You will see a couple of graphics later on of stakes that I made with Staker app. So the 9,000 stakers, it is actually 92,000 right now. Those are the stakers who all staked on Hex. And for what duration did they stake? All in average 6.32 years in average. Those 2 numbers really important once we go through the presentation here. So have those in mind.
So that means the average, Sam, of all the Hex stakes together is over 6.3 years in staking.
And so if on that last one, it was 82,000 3 weeks ago. I mean, just from like a growth standpoint, right? Like I'm like, okay, 82,000 you said about 3 weeks ago, right? But now you just said the updated one as of like this morning or whenever you checked was 92,000.
And we're in a bear market.
And that's 10,000 additional stakers. And these are, so define what is a staker? That's just a single address. So I could have 40, I could have like 60
it shows
or
you
100.
the individual staking addresses, and so it shows you on Hex.vision the unique staking addresses, and it shows you the people that have multiple staking. It shows you all the metrics as far as the staking on Hex.vision.
Mm-hmm. So yes, every single staking address is a staker. And I, for example, have several staking addresses. So I am in this statistic several times, so to say.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you. I just wanted to highlight that. That's crazy growth, like in terms of the number of stakers.
I think so too. The growth is going faster and faster as I see it. So
wow.
Let's now talk about why the dollar is broken and how Hex fixes that. The dollar is broken because it inflates like crazy. There are just a couple of people that are deciding how much the dollar is inflating. And now everybody else here is suffering from that. Because if you bought a house and now the government is giving out helicopter money and everybody else is also able to buy a house, your house is worth less. Or you can just buy less with your dollars. This is what the purchasing power shows here of the dollar. And the dollar is an inflationary currency, just like Hex. The problem is only a couple of people decide, and the inflation is really, really volatile. In Hex, we have that problem fixed Why? Because there is nobody deciding how much the inflation is. The inflation is kept by 3.69% and will never change. This is great because I already said, if I come into Hex today, I know in 15 years, the inflation is still going to be 3.69%. And because there are no middlemen, no admin keys, this will never change. A really important fundamental part why the dollar does not work anymore, but Hex fixes exactly that problem.
I was talking on that chart, or very similar to that chart, explaining this to somebody. Like, when you think about the dollar, first of all, there's no gatekeeper, so to speak, in terms of the upper limit of how much money can be printed. But think about the people who hold dollars. Your shit's going down. So if we, the three of us, have a currency, right? They're called SAMs, and you guys each have 1,000, and I have 1,000, and I just add 2 more zeros to mine. Your proportion of SAMs is just really insignificant. And that's what happens. The only way around that is, like, I think of, like, say, purchasing an asset. It goes up in value is like staking. Like in the physical world, how could you stake, right? You purchase a physical asset, right? But in the cryptocurrency world, staking would be equivalent to buying a house that goes up in value. It's just the returns in crypto tends to be multiple times better than it is in, like, real estate or something like that. But sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to mention that I had that conversation the other day.
I just don't worry. I just found a really interesting comment here from Crypto Gains Club 369. He says it is delayed inflation because we do not see the 3.69% today, but in the future when ending stakes. And I think this is really interesting. He is totally true. Yes, Hex is inflating 3.69% per year, but I'm staking out for 15 years. So my inflation that I wanted to produce is delayed for later. It is coming out later. And we did the presentation, The Power of T-Shares, to really dive deep into this topic. And there we found out, when we did a lot of calculation, that the inflation in 2021 of Hex was actually only 1%. So it was not even 3.69% this year. It was delayed inflation. Why? Because we are all locking up our money.
Real quick, I had a question in the comments that I wanted to address here. Crypto Collector, it seems as a lot of people plan on swapping their Hex coin for Pulse and Pulse X. Does the algorithm see that as selling Hex and buying Pulse, which, well, that's just a complete speculation about what people are doing with their coins. You could speculate that anyone would want to do anything, but at the same time, smart investors, as far as the Hexicans that I know, generally like to dollar cost average into things and keep their assets. And as far as I'm concerned, what I would plan on doing is not selling my Hex. I can promise you that. I can't even imagine wanting to sell my Hex, because every day when I see the interest going up, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like, we're in a bear market and I'm breaking even. Like, where else do you get that?
You highlighted that to me several weeks ago, GRC, and it clicked for me when you were talking about it, and I think we should reshare that. What GRC was telling me is that when you have a, say, mutual fund or an ETF, or you're holding some type of, like, money in a brokerage account invested into the stock market in some fashion, and the market comes down 30%, right? Well, your portfolio that was 40 grand, it loses 30% of the value. And you see that in the number, right? So you're like, oh, damn, I'm down 30%. However, with Hex, because depending on how you stake, you're earning 30+%. The market comes down 30%. You're still earning 30%. You didn't actually lose any money because you're earning 30%. That's incredible. It's hedging the downside. It's like having a free put option, if you understand options that cover the downside risk to some degree. It's incredible. Like,
I did say exactly the same thing to Patrick, and he did some calculation, and he says you would still be down a little bit.
Yes, because of the way the math works, I believe.
But still, most people are down 80%. My God. Imagine those Bitcoin holders just praying for mercy. Like, is it going to go back up? I hope it goes back up. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if it goes back up for another month or two. Let the market do what it's going to do. I'll be accumulating in the meantime as much as I can personally.
And so does the whole market, right? We have seen the 90,000 stakers. They locked up their money for 6.3 years. So does the whole market, is just staking, not touching the Hex. And when the price is going down, the Hexicans are just staying safe and staying staked because they're earning interest. They are not selling. So let's continue with this presentation here. From this chart, it's really important to take away that the inflation in HEX is kept by 3.69%, while in the dollar, the inflation is fluctuating a lot. And in the dollar, only few people decide on how much the inflation is. In HEX, nobody decides. The code is done. It's complete. There are no admin keys. It can never change. So HEX is a dynamic system. In the HEX code, it is implemented. If so many people stake, then the APY is dead. And now we can go and look at those numbers here. If 100% of all coins being staked, then the APY for the average staker would be 3.69%. And if only 1% of all coins would be staked, then the average staker would earn 369%. As of today, we know that all of the coins being in existence, 9.7% are staked, which grants us an APY, if you are average staker, of 37.6%. That's why I like to use the 38% number of APY, only if you are an average staker. And now maybe we can go back and look what is an average staker. We see here the average staker duration is 6.3 years. So if you want to earn 38% of interest, your average staking duration must be 6.3 years as well. If your average staking duration is only 1 or 2 years, of course, you're earning way less than 38%. If you stake your HEX for 1 year, you're earning about 10%. And as you stake longer, you make more percentage in return of investment.
So if somebody was like, I want to earn 37% plus in interest, the way to do that is you don't have to do it for 15 years. You just have to do it longer than 6.3 years.
Let's say there's somebody coming new to HEX and he buys $1,000 worth of HEX and he stakes that for 6.3 years. Now he is an average staker and earns 38% on this stake. Now let's say he lost HEX and now he takes all of his money that he has and stakes it for 5.555. Now his average is going up to not 6, but to maybe 10, 11, or 12, however much money he staked for that long. What I wanted to say here, it is a weighted average duration. It really depends how much money do you put where in your staking ladder. And if you weight all that and you have an average of 6.3, then you earn 38% on average.
So if somebody has one stake, and they do it for 6.5 years, they will effectively be able to earn 38%.
Yes, 100%.
And if somebody has an average stake of 10 years, then is it going to be higher than 38%?
At 4,000 days,
yes.
Whenever I play with it at 4,000 days, the max multiplier stops.
The max multiplier stops, yes. But how much interest do you earn on a 10-year stake? If you go to go.hex.com and you maybe already made a 10-year stake, then you can see that this number is even a little bit higher than 50%. This is because HEX is a dynamic system. Guys, the big payday, for example, or the second big payday, I call it the HEX 19 hack. Those were events that were not, like the hack event was an event that was not programmed into the code. It happened on that day that everybody got a really, really high payout. And now I forgot where I wanted to go with that. But
question, I'm going to ask you another question about this. Okay. Somebody was saying, and I didn't know if it was accurate or not, and I wanted clarification, that Sam's questions are exactly what I want to ask.
We're always mentioning that, and behind the scenes, Sam has a really good way of asking questions because he's not really that involved in the HEX community internally. He's more so just new. So all these questions he's asking are purely curiosity. A lot of the times when people buy into the RH products, they stop learning because they think it's the end all be all. But guys, I'm telling you, you got to keep learning. This stuff moves quick.
Okay, so question. Somebody said, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, that the inflation is based on the unstaked amount. So there's 10% roughly that's staked. And say if there's a trillion coins, right, then what is that? 100 billion of that is staked and 900 billion coins are not staked. So the inflation of 3.69% is on the 900 billion, and then it gets distributed to the 10%. Or is the inflation on the total 1 trillion shares, but then it gets squished to the 10% of stakers?
I think
Can you just clarify that?
The inflation is based, and now if I say it, you will understand it really easy. The inflation is based on all ever minted hex. All the hex that were ever in existence, this is the base calculation in order to calculate the daily interest. We can go into that a little bit closer as well in a couple other charts.
Okay, and okay, yeah, because I wanted to know, because once you stake it, you don't have your coins anymore because of the burns. So
Yes.
is that where that thinking was coming from? I think it was somebody had mentioned, she was like, well, you're kind of like, don't have your coins anymore, so the inflation is based on the other piece. But what you're saying is inaccurate, and we're going to get more into detail in the next slide or two.
So yeah, well, we have a couple of slides that will explain it a little bit more in detail, but the word you are looking for is all ever minted hex. It's not only the market supply, but it's a little bit more, because you said it, the people staked the hex, they burned the hex, and whenever there were is like every single hex that was ever in existence is the number of how this inflation is calculated on.
Okay, so you're not actually earning hex on your hex. It's because of what you just described, right?
Exactly.
So
you are. We always say that you earn hex on your hex, but you are not earning hex on your hex, but you're earning hex from all the hex that are printed out.
But when you think about it, right, so the average is 6.32 years. So if that dollar amount equates to $6.9 billion roughly, right? So that $6.9 billion is kind of like off the table, meaning those coins are burnt, right? So, but the actual dollar value equivalent is greater than that because they've been earning interest. Is that correct?
The dollar value of that is bigger. No. Every single day, this dollar value that is staked is getting higher as well, right? All the inflation that is getting into that is represented into this number here. Oh, sorry. In that number here as well, the staked coins. But right now, we are really going down the rabbit hole. Maybe you can ask the question again.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, so
real quick, Sam. Think of the best question you can do. I'm gonna show everyone a cool transition, and I have one thing to say, and then we're just gonna go right back to what we were doing.
Okay. This is the dope transition. Let us know what you think in the comments
about the new transition. That's the new transition, guys. Whoa. Solo layout for 1 second. What an amazing presentation. I am so happy to be having this on my channel and to be able to bring this kind of information to the people. This is exactly what I like. And I think Abit kind of is noticing that this is exactly what I just love hex, I think. Like, I'm pretty sure I just love hex so much that I can't, like, that's why I wanted to make it hex in the morning, right? Like, I could have made it crypto news in the morning or whatever. And, you know, things, who knows what everything will look like. But I truly think hex is the backbone to all this, guys. And for you guys who are new and who have more so on the pulse and the pulse X, that's what you're learning. I'm telling you, this is just as important as any of that information. This is about your retirement. This is about locking up your funds and having your time back. And it's extremely important. And if you don't know how important having your time back is, I would never go back to selling my time ever again, ever. I will only, anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go down that. Guys, we got 15 subscribers left until 1,000, okay? I would rather do it on stream with my friends than by myself in my house. So let's make it happen on stream while they're going on their amazing presentation. Guys, hold on this one. Oh, that one's pumped up.
Well, RC, I think this was a perfect transition. Sometimes the people need a little break to get their head lighten up again, and now we go deeper into the topic.
Go ahead.
Where did we stop? We stopped here at the staking ratio. This staking ratio, this is implemented in the code. right? This code won't change. If so much is staked, then so much APY. If so much is staked, so much APY. This is what you have to understand. If you make only one stake and this stake is 6.3 years, then you're earning 38% of interest. Me, I have 600 stakes. They're all over the place. And I just have to see, where is it weighted? Where is all my stakes weighted average? And the stake app is telling me that as well. So it's a great tool to look at all your stakes. But now let's look at the inflation that we have in Hex. What you see here in yellow is how much Hex is paid out, or no, how much daily inflation is being produced every single day. And what you see here from the start until the end of the launch phase, called the big payday, every single day there were about 500 million Hex printed. The smart contract printed them, and he gave it out to the people who were putting Ethereum into the adoption amplifier. After this 1 year, Hex was done. From here, it works just like the finished product that we know. Every single day, Hex coins are produced, and those coins need to be given out to the staker class. I like this chart a lot because it shows you exactly what we were talking about before. How does the smart contract know how many coins to produce, pretty much? And the base calculation of this inflation is all ever minted Hex. So look, in the beginning, there were no Hex minted, and therefore there was no much Hex created, right? 3.69% of 500 million coins is just a little bit. But once this number is higher, let's say the number is 1 billion, now 3.69% is way more, right? And the second thing that we are seeing here is the truth engine. We talked about that already. So those spikes you see here, those are individual days where something happened. Maybe somebody staked their stake too early and paid a fee. Now this fee is going into this particular day and is then given out to the staker class. So on these days here, we had a little bonus payout here as well. And what you see here is the hack of Hex 19. He was a shark, and all his hacks he had were penalized, and these penalties were given into the pool of how much inflation there were created on that day. And everybody who was staked on that particular day here got a really nice payout. So what you take away from that chart is the base calculation of the inflation in Hex is all ever minted Hex times 3.69% a year.
So
and,
when a stake ends and you mint your earnings, right? You mint your coins, then that base calculation changes because you have additional tokens, correct?
Yeah, it changes, but keep in mind the number of all ever minted Hex is really, really high. The staking and end staking we are doing is not affecting this number at all.
Much, correct. It's okay, but it does change it, but it's just marginal. It's just like such a tiny little amount because the quantity is so large. Okay, cool.
The quantity is billions of all ever minted Hex, and what we are end staking is only millions, if so, right? So to take away from here, all ever minted Hex, if there are more Hex in existence, there will be more inflation. This is really important to understand, and we will even calculate that in a couple of slides. But here you see every single day how much inflation is being produced. And of right now, it is 64 million Hex being produced every single day. But how does the smart contract know where to pay this inflation to? And here comes the next chart into play. The Hex smart contract just pays the inflation to all the T shares that are there in existence. If you are a staker and you stake your Hex for a certain period of time, you get T shares. And for this T share, now you are eligible to earn Hex. So how many T shares are there in existence? First, when Hex started, there were only few T shares because the people just had to get their Hex first and start staking, right? So what we saw is until 2021, basically, that the numbers of T shares was actually going up. And then from that moment on, it is just going down and down and down. And the question is, why is that? Because Richard Hart was able to find a design in Hex that makes it able to have the least computational power and pay everybody their hex accordingly to how many shares they have. So the T-share price is only going up. You know that already. Why that is, we will talk about that later.
So
go ahead. Because now it costs more and more dollars, but it costs more and more hex in order to get one T-share. The amount of T-shares in the future are decreasing. So T-shares is a decreasing asset, basically. I like to say T-shares are more scarce than Bitcoin.
So in regards to T-shares, I think it was, we had this conversation a week or two ago, or maybe it was somebody else. And my understanding is that when somebody stakes, there's new T-shares. When somebody end stakes, those shares go away.
Yes.
So is there, or there could hypothetically be a period where this actually flattens out or actually goes up because there's such a big influx of new stakers?
Yes, imagine, like what you see here is a projection over the next 15 years. I made a projection with the Hex community together, but what you see here is we are at 2022 right now, right? And the T-shares are declining. Why is that? It is because T-shares cost more and more and more. But there is definitely the possibility that next year we see the T-share pool going up like this. If, for example, Elon Musk would buy Hex today and stake it all, of course, then my projection wouldn't be right anymore. Then the T-share price would be more flat or even going up. Okay. And what you want to take away from this chart is that as of right now, we have about 10.7 million T-shares in existence, right? So every single day, 64 million Hex is produced. Where does it go to? All the T-shares in existence. So we can actually now calculate how much Hex do you get for one T-shares. And we will do that in a second here. First, I want to show you another thing, the power of T-shares. To explain everything about T-shares would be way too deep right now. It would take us 4 hours. Patrick and I, we had to learn about 6 months about this and how everything works. And then we made this presentation. So if you want to really go down the rabbit hole, how every single calculation, every single formula works in order to calculate your T-shares and how much Hex is produced every single day, this is your presentation you want to look at. And that's also where we found that the net inflation of 2021 was actually only 1% because of all the delayed inflation. All right. So
what is it when you said the net inflation is 1% because of delayed inflation? What does that mean?
So the maximum inflation in Hex is 3.69% every single year. But because I staked out my money for not 1 year, but for way longer, this inflation is not coming out this year, but in a couple of years. And this is why the inflation for the net inflation of 2021 was actually 1%.
So the net inflation is like circulating inflation minus what was put out into the future?
Yes, the net inflation is what was actually produced. What was actually minted.
And then what was actually minted in the year?
Yeah.
Because the stuff that's for you is not minted until your stake ends.
Yeah, everybody who staked in 2021, they did not only stake for this 1 year, but some of them even staked out longer. So this inflation will be coming out later.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
So I already showed you those 2 slides here where we know that every single day the smart contract inflates Hex by 3.69%. Now, we can divide that up by 360 days or something like this, and we get the number of 64 million Hex is produced in every single day. And where do those Hex go to? To all the T-shares in existence, to all the people that stake their Hex. And if we do this calculation, we get the number of 6 Hex per 1 T-share. And I bet you have seen that number already from HexBots, for example, where he's telling us today the payout per 1 T-share is this high or this high, depending on how much fees were paid on that particular day. So have you seen that you get 6 Hex per 1 T-share?
No? GRC has told me, but I've never seen anybody and I've probably heard other people talk about it, but I've never.
And that number ratchets up.
Can you explain that?
We can, this ratcheting up, we will calculate in a second. And then, guys, light bulbs will go on here. The 6 hex per 1 t-shirt is really important to understand, because in the beginning of hex, there was way less hex per 1 t-shirt that we were earning. I had 1 t-shirt 1 year ago, for example, and I was only earning like 5 hex per t-shirt. Today, I'm earning already 6 hex per t-shirt. And I'm able to say that I will earn even more hex per 1 t-shirt in the future. Why is that? Because I know mathematics. So let's do the calculation together now.
Are you going to also touch on how a t-shirt is structured in terms of relation to hex and how it's priced and stuff like that?
The hex t-shirt price, we will also talk about that in a second. Yes. So you already seen the how much inflation is produced in 1 day, and you know the base calculation is all ever minted hex. In the future, we know already, because we can see how much hex is staked, how much hex will be there in the future, because we know the all ever minted hex number right now. Now we multiply it by 3.69%. Next year we multiply it by 3.69%. So basically what I'm saying is, I know already that this number must be higher in the future, right? The 64 million must be higher. How high could it be? I'm just estimating here for, let's say, in 10 years. In 10 years, how many ever minted hex will there ever be? I do not know, but I'm just estimating, let's say, 100 million hex, right? What I did here is just 2 plus 2 is 4. If you take a number, multiply it by 3.69%, this number must be higher. You do it again, this number must be higher. This is all I did here. So we went from 64 million to, let's say, 100 million hex that's going to be produced every single day. Where does that hex go to? It goes to all the t-shares in existence. And I can already predict that there will be less t-shares in existence. Why? Because the t-share price is only going up. So my prediction for the t-shares in 15 years is 2 million hex. Now we make this calculation, 100 divided by 2, and now we are earning 50 hex per 1 t-share. Isn't that amazing?
So what you're saying is, you based upon the previous chart where if the adoption holds and there's not a tremendous influx of new staking that offsets the decrease, right? Assuming that this continues in a pretty linear fashion, that in 10 years, roughly-ish, you guess there's probably around 2 million T-shares, right? Is that
in 10 years it would be about 5 million T-shares. In 15 years it would be about 2 million T-shares.
Okay, cool.
That's our prediction.
But like as we talked about, there could be an influx, a tremendous influx of new stakers, which could flatten it slightly. Or if there's a tremendous.
But think about it, Sam. But think about it. Really, yes, of course you can say that. But technically, as far as the economic mass in the world, these guys were buying T-shares for 60 cents. It's like $4 grand now.
Mm-hmm. And
how many people can buy a $4 grand T-share at the same rate that people could buy them at $5 T-share or $100 T-share? You know, there's so much more. But obviously, yes, a certain person or peoples could come in and dominate it as far as T-shares.
Well, there's 10,000 plus.
If they really could do that, if Bill Gates or Elon Musk could really get into a whale position, we still have to think about that. But this chart, really important, is just a prediction. We do not know where it's going. But here at 10 years, for example, you see a little more decrease. It's going a little bit faster. Why is that? Because we already know 2030, there are a lot of hex coming out. So a lot of T-shares will be taken off the market. So the T-share pool will decrease even faster after 2010.
How
again, with the adoption and more people staking, this could totally look different. But here is the thing. How much does one T-share cost after big payday? It was about 16,000 hex for one T-share. How much does one T-share cost today? It is, let's say, 22,000. So already we have 6,000 hex of a difference in T-share price in only like this short period of time. And this is exactly why the T-share pool is decreasing, because it will be harder and harder to obtain the number of T-shares, because the T-share price in hex terms is only going up.
And the rate is disgusting.
The rate is disgusting.
No, I'm saying the rate is just like you
You-
look at it, you missed a couple weeks. It's up 1,000 hex again.
Yes, exactly.
Because these short stakes, Sam, and I don't dive into this because I don't want to go into this right now, but these really short stakes that people do with a lot of economic mass, that actually pushes the T-share rate up. So people always say, like people that don't know as well, they're like, oh, they're using the system inefficiently. But really, if you really look at it, they're smashing that T-share rate up so
But
hard.
it's not to their advantage though that they're doing that. The people that are staking short term, let's say 1 week, and then they end their stake and the T-share price goes up a little bit, they're not hurting anybody, because the people that staked on, let's say, the first couple of days and they have a lot of economical mass, if they end stake, the T-share price would have jumped to this number anyways. Doesn't matter how many people do short-term staking.
And when you think about it, T-share is just a placeholder to, describe how this is playing out. So it's just, you just move a decimal place, one place or the other, to describe the T-share.
It'll be B
you know
shares soon that people talk in. People will say B shares very shortly, actually, because most people are getting priced out, the average user, like the new user. Because how much money does the average user have? Let's say 10 grand max, like probably just a random person wants to get involved. They're soon not even going to be able to afford a T-share, so the verbiage will change 100%. Everyone in Twitter will say B share, because that's what they'll actually be purchasing. They won't have a full T-share in general. Some people will.
I like to talk about the shares in just common sentences like shares. And then if I talk about a specific stake, then of course I have to mention T-shares, or like you said, B shares even.
And so somebody who's listening to this for the first time and they hear T-share and B-share, which we didn't talk about yet, what is it? What's the definition of the T-share and what's the definition of a B-share? Because we have
T-shares and B-shares are the same thing. They are just shares. One T-share is 1,000 B-shares. So it's just a different decimal.
It's just a fraction of it. Okay, and a T-share is based on a million or a trillion hex or something like that?
One T-share, what do you mean is based on? One T-share is just one T-share. One T-share, you get one T-share if you lock up 21,500 hex for 1 day. Then you get one T-share, because the T-share price right now is 21,500.
Okay, so the T-share price, I'm assuming you're probably going to get into it in a second. The T-share price is less if you go out, 6.3 years versus 1 day. 1 day
you could say that the T-share price is less if you stake out for longer, but actually the opposite is true. When you stake out for longer, you get bonus hex. So for every single day that you stake out longer, you get a little bit more hex bonus in order to stake. And now, because you have a little bit more hex, your T-share is a little bit cheaper for you. That's correct.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Go ahead with what you were saying here in this section here.
So now I want to show you some stakes that I made for my little brother 2 years ago. And you find those stakes. This is from Staker app. I was able to screenshot that from there. And we can just go into here. Of course, I know everybody loves to see the dollar number, but I want you to concentrate on the T-shares right now. All the stakes I show you here, they are the same amount of hex, 10,000 hex. The only difference is they are staked out for a different period of time. This first stake here, it ended in February 2nd, 2022. And I made the screenshot 18 days before it was due. All right. So just check those numbers, 1.4 T-shares, and it was staked for until 2022. Now we
you doubled your money, basically, it looks like.
I just want to compare this stake to the other two stakes now. So the first stake I made for 2 years had 1.4 T-shares. The next stake I made for 6 years has already 2 T-shares. So here you see, if you stake out longer, you get more T-shares. And the next stake I made for my little brother has already 3 T-shares. It is the same amount of hex. The only thing that is different is the days here. You see it is for 10 years. And with this stake, I was able to maximum out the bonus hex that I would receive. And that's why I was able to get a little bit more T-shares. So you already know that every single T-share gives you 6 hex every single day. And those stakes, they were running for 758 days now. And this stake had 18 days left before I ended it. Or actually, we should now look at the dollar price before we do that. So you've seen the shortest stakes has the less T-shares, and this, of course, then results in less dollar value here. We have about $5,000 here. The next stake, because it has more T-shares, earned a little bit more interest every single day. It has $6,000, and as of today,
these numbers are like the current as of when you took these screenshots. So you put in 2.4. $2,400, and the current value of this stake is $7,600 at the time of this.
2019, December 2019, 26th, I made this stake, and now it is 746 days old, and it earned that much money.
Like, do you remember how much that was at the time, roughly?
Bro, if I tell you, you're gonna laugh.
It's fine.
I invested in Hex every single day $10, and these $10 went into my account.
What I'm saying, Sam.
Back then, we had a referral program of 20% of this $10, which then went to my little brother. So this stake here, I made out of $10 out of 20% of $10. So how much was it? Like $2?
Yeah, that would be $2.
That was a $2.
So wait. So you said this here it says $2,400. It doesn't say $2.
Yes. So back in the day, you were able to refer somebody. If you refer somebody, this somebody would get 20% of your stake. Or is it 10%? I do not remember. He would get a little referral out of my stake, right? Because I referred him. So I referred my little brother, and I made the stake, which was back then in December 26, 2019, maybe $1 or $2, something like this. This is today $2,400.
So and $1 or $2 was 3 T-shares back then, Sam.
And
it says 2.44K. That's just the amount in US dollars at this moment that is staked. And the interest is 5.18K. So that's just the calculation of what it is right now in US dollar.
Okay. So this has nothing to.
No, it doesn't show you the original.
If you put the original numbers in here, bro, this would be way more impactful. This would be way more impactful.
Well, this is just how it looks, and he doesn't. Everyone knows exactly.
No. Nobody knows. Like, this is new information to me because that's not how I'm interpreting it, and I guarantee that's not how a lot of other people are interpreting it.
Well, I know.
We could just go. It is just a little detail here, but 2019 in December 26th, we could just look at the dollar price, what it was there, and I can tell you.
This was basically $2 has turned into 7,000. Is that accurate?
$2 went into became 7,600. Yes.
Okay. Cool. That would be way more impactful.
If my $2 would not have been staked, it would have been $2,400. But because I choose to use the code to make more money, I got interest of $5,000, and this together is now 6.
See that J Money. I'm sorry, MJ Money. Abit, this is in my opinion confusing, and I would not interpret this way. You see this? My mind, brand new. Right, I've been in this 2 months. I'm like, he put $2,400 in, and he's made $5,000. That is not an accurate statement. You put in $2, and you've got $7,000.
Yes, because back then the worth of my Hex was really, really low, and then it went up in price. But this is how.
But it's not. It's just not clear.
But Sam, this is the actual smart contract thing. So I know he should show another slide that explains this. What you're saying is, but this is what it looks like on my screen too when I open my wallet. He's just showing you the legit. This is what on Hex. Is this on? What is this on? Staker app?
But guys, Sam, also what I'm trying to do here is not to explain how much interest I was making. Like I told everybody, yeah, look at the dollar term. But most important thing is the T-shares. I want to explain the T-shares. As you stake out longer, you get more T-shares. You see here I have already 3. And you already know, now we are going back to our slide, that per 1 T-share, you earn 6 Hex right now. And if you have more T-shares, you're earning more Hex every single day, right? Like this stake, 1 point down. Let's go to this one. Since I have 2 T-shares, this means I earn 12 Hex every single day. Now we go to the next stake. I have 3 T-shares, and it means I am earning 18 Hex every single day. And this is the reason why the dollar total amount here of the third stake is higher than the other ones. But even though they're all staked at the same time and the same amount.
like thing that would, because why do people fucking want to get into crypto, right? The holistic, like the goodwill of like, oh, I want to fuck the system, I want to be outside the system is like cool for people to say, but why are people doing it? Because they want to make fucking money.
They're all lying. Yes, they all
They,
lie.
they want to make
is
wants
lying
to
about that as far as their personal wealth. Like at the end of the day, we all want to be comfortable so we can get our time back. I think everyone can say that, right?
But when you go through and you show this to somebody, people are like, he invested $2,400 and he made $2,400. That is not that, but that's not accurate.
Nobody that knows that little is watching this. I can't, other than you, maybe the only human that could be in this position. Where
MJ Money just said that in the comments.
Sam, the chat has it already figured out. Look, Ninja is saying, Sam, the value in Staker app is only shown the value in current prices, not historical. That is
I understand what the chart is saying. I'm saying if it's not, it doesn't, when this is presented to me, it doesn't show an accurate picture of this.
But he's not trying to show you the $2 transformation at all. That's really
clearly because it's not there. I 100% agree.
Yeah,
definitely not
I'm saying another slide would be good, but again, the whole presentation is so people intimately understand what's going on, not necessarily the massive game. Because everyone in text, if you don't understand it, you never get in it. Like everyone that gets in and they just ponder around for a little bit, look at the numbers. Oh, they're crazy numbers, but I'm too late. I'm way too late. Everyone says the same thing. Every new guy. The same exact thing. I'm too late. Those were games from back then. Abit got in early. Abit smart. I'm not smart. Whatever. That's everyone says the same thing. But you could tell everybody that why didn't they invest? Why didn't you invest in Bitcoin? You saw the chart moving up over time, right? You saw the numbers. The numbers were there. Anyone could have looked them up. But to be in the position to understand these things intimately is what we like to do, because that's what Dogecoin does. They say the big numbers, and it's the same thing. If you put in $2 to Dogecoin, you'd have been a millionaire.
No, I get it, and I know that's not.
Sam, you put $2 into Dogecoin, you'd be a millionaire. So why doesn't everyone do it?
But when you look at this chart, you're
chart. This is the actual smart contract code.
Yes, which is a chart in his presentation. It's a chart in his presentation. The semantics, you can call whatever you want. A screenshot, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. True. So when you look at this. The point is T-share price is increasing, right? That's in terms of the length.
The point of this is just to show you, we already know that for one T-share you earn 6 hex. We just calculated that. And now you can get more T-shares by staking out longer. This is the idea of these 3 slides. This is why we showed. These 3 slides are not to show how much gains you can make or how insane the gains are, just to explain how the gains work. Because if you have 1 T-share, you earn 6 hex. If you have 2 T-shares, you earn 12 hex every single day.
Because even if it's just a caveat, I feel like that's a caveat or something. Just explaining that, because that is like what you're literally saying, and then I'm like, I don't give a shit about the T-share price. How much money did he make? Because that's why people are investing.
You're smart.
No, but I guarantee there's other people. If I'm thinking this, I guarantee other people, they're like not listening to what he's saying about T-shares. And if you go longer, you get a better rate.
The people that aren't listening to think about the T-shares aren't going to make it. They're not going to make it. They won't make it because they're not learning the system. They're just going to do what everyone else does.
You can learn the thing that you have to give them what they're like looking for, but then also that's going to allow them to buy in, to really be like, oh, I'm going to go deep in this thing.
But how many times does Richard Hart throw the chart up into his screen and say, look at this, you fools. You all are insane. You all are stupid. You should have been listening to me the whole time. Richard Hart has 200K subs. Everyone's seen the videos. Everyone. Look at the price, you morons. Everyone says, it's not about the price. It's not about the price. Blah, blah. So what we're trying to do is like the clickbait shit doesn't fucking work anymore. No one listens at all.
It's just not. It's not.
But that's
clear.
not what the
presentation is not clear.
I'm lagging here
right now. Like
everything
who
okay?
knows if there's another slide that has explosive games.
Abit wants to go. Abit wants to go. And I think the.
I feel absolutely invigorated after having that good conversation.
All right, so another point that we can see here on those 3 different stakes is the truth engine, one of the most innovative design ideas by Richard Hart. Because look at this. This stake here I made for my little brother, and when I made the snapshot, it was 18 days before it was due. If I would have end staked on this particular day, I would have to pay a penalty of $1,700. I would have only gotten out $3,000 compared to those $5,000. This is how the truth engine works. If you are not telling the truth, you are getting penalized. If you are really untruthful to the code, the penalty is getting more and more. And we can see that here. This stake, by the way, only 2 years old, and almost 97% have been done. Still, the penalty is pretty high in my opinion. And now we go to this next stake here. The next stake is 25, right? So it was 5 years long, and it only has 40% of its time been done. And if I would end stake that today, the penalty would be $4,300. Right, already a little higher because I was more untruthful. I said to everybody I will stake for a certain period of time, but I was not even able to proceed 50% of the time. And now, of course, we go to the longest stake, and here I only have 20% of this time being staked done, and I would totally get nuked. I would not get out any of my hacks if I would end stake this stake. And why is that? Because I would have been really, really untruthful to the code. And now this this truth engine is really important to understand, because if this is for me, this is for all the other 90,000 hex stakers as well. The truth engine is an implemented code that all makes us behave in a certain way. And if we do not behave in this way, it penalizes us. So what does that mean? I already talked about the price, where the only thing that matters for the price is buying and selling. So we know, because of the truth engine, those 90,000 people will in average not sell for 6.3 years because they would have been penalized then. But what happens when new people are coming in because they are seeking for this amazing yield as well? Well, the hex price is going up like we've seen in the past. Any questions to that?
No, this is good. Just the points I brought up earlier.
Yeah, well, I could highlight it a little bit more, how much massive gains I really did. Somebody just said in the chat, Hexander said, on that day when I made this stake, the hex price was 0.00012. I bought hex on that day and I staked it for my little brother, and this is what he was able to end stake a couple of months ago.
Dope.
You're the best brother ever. I tried to get my brother in, and he was.
All right, and now we are going into staking strategies. To find a personal strategy is really difficult because everybody has a different life situation. Somebody is maybe really old, somebody is maybe really young. So all we want to do is just give you ideas of this staking strategy, about a staking ladder that you could do in Hex. And what we are promoting is that the first stake you are doing should be a 5-5-5-5 out of economical reasons, that is. So if you do your first stake like this, we are saying maybe make your second stake like this, 14 years, and then the next stake 13 years, and then you accumulate again, and then of course you make more stakes like this. And this, what you see here, is already an ideal staking ladder for return of investment, because this guy, he left out the first 5 years. Why? Because longer pays better. If you stake out longer, you get more T-shares, and this is represented by the yellow here. Of course, a lot of hexagons want more flexibility. They never want to emergency end stake or even be in the position where they might have to be emergency end staking, and this is why they make a staking ladder like this. But here you see a short stake like that would only have this much yellow, and the yellow is representing the T-shares. So if you just make stakes longer, you get more T-shares. More T-shares means more interest. So here, this is just a standard staking ladder. It could work for everybody, but of course, you do not have to do it this way. I just want to give you a principle of what is happening here. You've seen, this is basically the staking ladder I have and so many other hexagons have. And since I do not have a job and I cannot buy more hex, the only way for me and for the hexagons out there to get more T-shares is by doing exactly what you will see now. If a stake is ending, you could end that stake, and then restake it out for longer for 5555. And then what you see is you get more T-shares. So you get more inflation in the future. Really important. But of course, everybody likes to just use the interest and sell that on the market. And the principal should always be put to the end of your stake, like you see here. The pink is the capital. And as you see, the pink did not change at all here. Everything that was originally staked is now staked again. And only what was sold is the interest. So this hexagon, because he made 10,000 of X, is still pretty good living on only his interesting. If you do this every single time a stake expires, you have a perpetual money income machine. So this staking ladder is just for a standard guy, let's say, right? With this same capital. I don't know if somebody would make a staking ladder like this, because we are all in different situations. An old person would do something like you're seeing here, right? If you're 80 years old and you stake out for 15 years, maybe you're 95 where you can enjoy your 15-year stake, if even. So you want to have your capital less in the future, but more as of right now, right? And a young person like me, and this is actually exactly what I did, would have a staking ladder like this, where you have the most capital at the end. Why? Because there you have the most T-shares, the most interest coming towards you. And then, of course, I'm doing the same as I just showed you. Whenever a stake is expiring, I just put it at the end here. Some questions to that?
No, this is good.
Personally, there's a couple different scenarios as well that you have to think about. Some people anticipate making a lot of money in the coming years because they're in their work prime, right? Like some people are in their work prime where they're getting they plan on getting money for years on end through their job. Therefore, their staking ladder can be a little bit more forward thinking because they're going to be thinking more about their retirement, not so much worried about the money that they have at the moment, right? That's kind of how I always think. I'm like, I'm working for 10 more years, whatever that looks like to me. I'm going to be working, making money, doing something. And I send it out to my future for the most part, 4,000 days plus. I don't really, and I'll just keep some liquid in case there's an opportunity for another project or something that I can look into. And then I have a little liquid in case I get in some issue or something.
And then the strategy, as Abit was talking about for staking, is going to be like everybody's different. Like this is an annual, maybe somebody wants quarterly, maybe semi-annual, maybe it's every 2 years.
Some people don't want to work. Some people don't want to work. So it's like that strategy would be 100% different, right? Than someone who was like, well, I have a job, I'm a doctor or whatever, so I'm going to continue being this. So it's just going to be completely every situation. That's why when anyone asks me how to stake, I just say you need to really dig into your life circumstances and figure out what you want.
But Sam, you just said it. Maybe somebody wants to have a monthly staking ladder. And in the Hex community, of course, we even have people that did a daily staking ladder. I did a little mistake myself when I started Hex. I bought Hex every single day and I made stakes every single day, sometimes multiple ones on that day. So I have over 600 Hex. And when my first stake were coming out, it was so much that next month the next stake was coming out. What did I do with that? I did not need the money, so I staked it out for longer. And that process, I lost a little bit of my T-shares because back then when I made the stake, the T-share price was way lower. And this is now the next topic we are getting into.
A question on that. So in addition to like, okay, so you just made 10 grand, just hypothetically, right, in the month, and you're like, okay, cool, I only need $2,000 to live on till the next month, and you've got another $10,000 coming next month, is the idea of what you were just saying in essence. But what you didn't mention, which I think was probably a part of like thinking, is, fuck, I have 600 stakes to manage. or you have 600 data points.
Well, we didn't anticipate the failure of Ethereum either. Like, if
nobody could do that.
The failure that is Ethereum would have been very hard to anticipate for anyone because they were staking for less, just this very minimal amounts of fees back then.
Yeah, back then the fees were not even mentionable. Like you did not even have to mention it. That's why I made all those stakes. And this is only one reason why I'm advocating only yearly stakes. It's way enough. And normally you should have not staked out for 1 year anyway, so for 2 years, right? Normally, if you want to have the most gains, you just start with crypto today, then you stake out for longer. And once the time goes by and the hex price goes up so much, you just don't need so many stakes so close to each other. Every single time you have to end a stake, this is not only done with your money, but also with your time. And it also puts in a little bit of a security problem, because every single time you put your seed phrase into the computer, you're basically exposing your portfolio. So what I love to do is I have my seed phrase here in my hand. It's in none of my devices. I put it into my device. I do my stakes, or I end my stakes. I sell my stuff, and then I delete the seed phrase from the device again. And now it's only on a piece of paper. You cannot be more safe than this. And Hexicans have this amazing opportunity by making a yearly staking letter and only putting your seed phrase into the device once a year.
So, question on that. So you create a stake, and you have your seed phrase out on paper, right, written down or something, and then you put that into MetaMask. You do what you need to do, and then you log out of MetaMask completely.
I do not only log out, I delete my MetaMask again.
What's the difference between logging out and deleting MetaMask?
If you log out, then you just click on log in again, and then you're in again. You just need to type in your password. MetaMask has the big problem that it stores your private key in the background. So if somebody gets access to your MetaMask password, they are able to get the private key out, and then they have your funds.
So you basically delete the extension in the browser, and then if you're going to do something else in crypto, you create a new one, or you bring in the appropriate seed phrase that you're going to be using. Is that
exactly? So
cool, thank you.
I think your portfolio, your seed phrase should never be in a device at all if you do not need it. But if you're doing trading every single day, then of course you're just going to use your MetaMask as it is, and you never delete it. You maybe log out of it. But again, if there is somebody being able to hack into your computer, he would be able to extract the private key, not the seed phrase, but only the private key.
Can you, and this is a tiny bit on a tangent, can you briefly say what's the difference between your seed phrase and your private keys?
The seed phrase is 12 words, right? The seed phrase, 12 words. The private key is just a long number that if you use this private key, you only have access to this specific account. But one seed phrase could have many accounts.
Thank you. So go ahead. Matt was interrupting your presentation. You're like, this is going to take me 25 minutes, and these guys keep asking me questions.
Incredible.
I'm happy that it is like this. It would be a little bit embarrassing if I just do the presentation. It's done like 25 minutes, and then everybody would be like, what, 25 minutes for your workshops? No, with Hexline, it's way longer.
Yes.
Anyway, so now we come into the most innovative things we have in Hex. For me personally, it is the truth engine. You can also, what comes out of the truth engine is the chart of future market supply. Right? In the truth engine, we already learned that if you are really untruthful to the code, then you get penalized completely. So basically what you have in Hex is a hard lock of your money. And you do not find that in any other market in the world. So this hard lock mechanism gives us a shard of future market supply. And this is exactly what you are seeing here right now at Hex.vision. We are known already that in the future, those red stakes that are symbolizing stakes here are coming out. A lot of stakes are coming out in 10 years, and then a lot of stakes here, for example. And so, you do not find this chart in any other market. This is really, really important. Why? Because we have the truth engine. I can rely on this chart that those stakes here in 10 years will not be ended. Why? Because otherwise they would be penalized. And why is that great? Because we know the only thing that matters for price is buying and selling. If somebody is end staking here today, he would not get out any. If he would get out some, he would probably sell it and hurt the price. So the hard lock mechanism is actually something that protects the price where it is.
So question on this chart here. One idea that comes to mind if somebody, like, because I'm in the process, like I have one stake right now, right? And if I'm like, okay, I plan on doing it more, but you can't just do it daily because transactions are $20 to $100 to $1,500 now, depending on when you time it in the market. So one idea that comes to mind would be accruing fiat, right? Because I have a business and all that kind of shit, right? So accrue fiat, and then if in the next 1 to 4 months, when I'm going to have the amount of capital that I want to put in, happens to be, say, in the 5th month, a giant stake is ending, then maybe it's potentially a good idea to wait till that end stake, because then that capital might sell off and hurt the price, which will allow me to get in cheaper. And obviously these are all hypotheticals, like,
Yeah,
but that's one way to take a look at it.
No, that's exactly the next point I want to make. So if you go to hex.vision.com and you click on, let's say, this stake here, for example, right? It is not a one stake, it is all accumulated stakes on that day. But we can just click on any red thing there, and then what we see is all the stakers on that day. And we can even click on addresses and see what did those addresses do in the past. So guys, what I'm saying here is I can go into this field. I can look, what did those guys do? Did they end their stake and sell it all on the market? Then I would be alert. Then I would stake my money before they are doing that. You could do the research, right? Let's say in times where not much is going on. And then you find out those are all hexagons. If those people are staking, they are restaking out for even longer. And then you can maybe stake out for longer. But if you have a malicious guy who is end staking and selling everything, you want to front run him. And hex.vision gives you exactly that tool to do.
So you said front run in terms of if you wanted to sell, but you would, if you wanted to enter the market, then you would actually wait till he dumps on the market.
Exactly.
Right? Depending.
Sure.
If like, because then I could be like, oh, cool, I get a 20% discount.
Let's say you never needed money. Like you were just like, this is purely investing. I'm making money at a good rate. At some point, it doesn't necessarily matter when you take it out if you don't need the money at the moment. And then you can restake and get a better rate when some of those things dump, because the price per hex will be lower.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Cool.
And also something interesting, I've never mentioned that at any workshop, but hex.vision gives you another tool as well, and it is called the penalty list. You can see what address paid the most penalties. And what you could do is you could go through this list, see what actors are there and when are their stakes coming out. And then you maybe see, okay, this guy is paid already so many penalties. Most likely he will pay a penalty on the next one as well, and stake it early, like when it comes to 50%. So I'm now aware, I'm waiting for his stake to end because he will probably dump it all on the market. So you could do something like this because we have the tools.
We get a thumbs up in the chat for the Abit exclusive dropping here on Hex in the Morning in regards to that. So where would somebody find that information if somebody was like, hey, I want to see the people who just are willing to pay that fee, right? Where do they find that information?
Pay what?
Hex.vision, and then somewhere there on the left side you find penalties.
There's many bars of every type you can imagine.
Is there any like tool or simple way to find when their address is in the future, or do you just have to click per day and then try to find that address with a search feature or something?
This site is a really advanced tool, Hex.vision. It was made by Firebun. Just by using this tool, I guess you have to have like a master of a degree of some kind, because it's a hard tool to use because there's so much data.
Cool, awesome, thank you. This is interesting.
So this is only one innovation that we have in Hex, the truth engine that is implemented in the code. The law is implemented into the code that if we lie, we pay a lot of penalties to a certain point where it's basically a hard lock of your money. If you lock up for 15 years, then I know that this guy will not sell for 15 years. A really big innovation that we have in Hex. And now we are coming to something else, which is probably the most innovative thing in Hex. It is the reversed compound interest function, or the T-share price that is only going up. Here we see the graph of, I think March, it must be 21, like just the last one. And you see how it is going only up, the T-share price. So what is the T-share price? Can I zoom out a little bit? Yeah. Maybe not. If you have 21,000 hex, again, the chart is a little bit old, the numbers are a little bit old. if you had 21,000 hex at that time and you would stake for 1 day, you would get 1 T-share. Now, imagine now in the future when the T-share price is not 21,000 hex, but let's say 30,000 hex. Now, if you stake 30,000 hex for 1 day, you get 1 T-share, but the hex price is already higher, so you just pay more hex. This is my point I'm doing here. Again, every single day when somebody end stakes a stake, not again was the wrong thing here to say. I wanted to say, when does the smart contract know when to move up the T-share price? Because you see, every single day the T-share price was going up just a little bit, and when you go to hex stats, you will see the T-share price moves up about 5 hex every single day, sometimes 6 hex every single day. And when does the smart contract know when to move up the T-share price? And this is actually also really easy to explain. Every single time when a staker ends his stake, the smart contract checks if he can get more T-shares by restaking his principal plus capital, his capital plus interest for the same amount of time. And if the answer is yes to this question, the T-share price moves up accordingly to a number where this particular staker cannot get more T-shares by restaking.
Do you know the rate at which that happens?
Yeah, about 5 to 6 hex every single day. You can find that on hexstats.io or something like this. I bet the chat will teach me
Daily
how
hex
this.
stats. Which one is that, guys?
Exactly, daily hex stats. There you can see how the T-share price is increasing. So now we see the T-share price is increasing really slowly, but sometimes it's increasing a lot, like here right now or here.
We can't see your chart right now. Okay, here we go. Now it's coming up. Go
Okay,
ahead.
perfect. So here you see the T-share price is increasing really slowly, and here it is increasing a lot. So why is that? So every single time somebody end stakes, the smart contract has to ask him this question: can he restake longer and get more T-shares? So if I'm a staker for only 7 days and I have a lot of economical mass, I stake out for 7 days, I get my interest. Now I have more hex, right? And now because I have more hex, I could stake out for longer and get more T-shares. But the code is written in a way that long stakes has to always outperform short stakes. And this is really crucial to understand. This is implemented in the code. Longer pays better. And this is the reason why the T-share price moves up. So let us do a calculation here again. What you see my mouse cursor here right now, right? At 17,000 hex. Imagine I would have staked on that day for 1 year, right? I made a stake for with my 17,000 hex. I staked it out for 1 year. I have a little bit more than 1 T-share, but just let's say it's 1 T-share. 1 year later, I end stake my stake. I have not only this principal, but a little bit more hex because I earned interest. And now I want to stake for the same period of time. But because the T-share price is not 17,000 anymore, but 21,000, if I stake for 1 year, I won't get 1 T-share. I would only get, let's say, 0.7 T-shares. And you see,
so the price of the T-share in the example you just did is going up substantially faster than the amount of interest. Not just marginal. It's like if you take 17%, I'm sorry, if you take 17,000, say if you earn 10% in 1 year, that's 1,700 additional. That puts you at what, 18,700? So you have 18,000.
I was just juggling around with the numbers here to make the point that if you staked here for 1 year and you end stake and you want to stake again, now you will get less T-shares. Why? Because the T-share price moved up. And the smart contract asks itself every single time, can this guy restake and get more T-shares? If yes, I move up the T-share price. So this is why I went here, but it goes up really slowly when people stake short-term. But if there is a long-term staker with a lot of economical mass, he earned so many hex, right? He had this much principal. Now he earned so much hex that he could get more T-shares. And this is why the T-share price needs to move up a lot in order that this guy cannot restake for the same amount and the same duration and get more T-shares. So all I'm saying here is when there are bigger spikes, somebody made a bigger return of investment, and therefore the T-share price must go up a little bit more, so he cannot restake and get more T-shares.
2 questions here.
Hey, real quick before you just, I'm gonna let you go right ahead. Bob Lagai put the telegram for the GRC for the Hex in the Morning GRC Schoolhouse. That's just where we chit chat pretty much. And whoa, producer Bullish throwing up the chart 989, guys. Motley says, "Hold my beer." 1K subs incoming. Wow, guys. In all seriousness, though, this has been probably the most fun thing I've ever done in my life. And I mean, I've done a lot of cool shit too. Like, I was a bodybuilder. Like, I went through the whole rabbit hole of a lot of that stuff. Really peaked on a lot of things too. Like, I was really good at bodybuilding at some point. Now I'm not super into it like Sam anymore. But I'm trying. He's motivating me. But guys, this has been the most fun that I have ever had doing a project. I hadn't made shit money. I don't give a fuck. I'm having the time of my life. I didn't even know life could be this fun. I didn't. I thought it had to suck. Like, I thought it kind of had to suck. Like, most of it had to hurt. But really, most of it's really good. You wake up in the morning, you have passion, you get your bills down really low, and then you start your parabolic rise to victory. But you have to work hard every single day, guys. Every single day. Let's get 991. Oh, we're getting close. Oh my God, guys. Let's get back to the presentation and we'll jump back to that in a minute. Wow. Sorry.
Awesome.
So I had 3 quick questions. Hopefully they might be quick. They might take longer. Okay. As people lose their keys, right? Because that's going to happen. People are going to lose their shit over time. And the more people are involved, the absolute number of people that are going to lose their keys, meaning access to their funds, is going to increase, meaning there's a penalty if you don't take your money out at 1% per week that like deflates that to 0 over the course of 2 years, from my understanding. Do you see this data anywhere? The number of people that are losing 1%, and do you see that? Like, have you talked about it? Because I would expect that to increase, like the number of people.
I bet you can see it somewhere. I guess maybe backuphex.com would be a site like this. Normally, again, I would have my Hex line here. He would have the answer for that. Yes, there are more and more people losing their seed phrases. And also what we are seeing, there are people making a stake and not being truthful. First of all, they end stake early, or the opposite, they do not end stake at all. So now, Sam, if you make a stake and you have 1 T-share, now you inflate the whole T-share pool by 1 T-share, right? Now imagine you are not end staking this stake. Like this time comes due, you could harvest this 1 T-share, but you totally forgot. Maybe you lost your seed phrase. This 1 T-share would always be in existence. So there needs to be a function to get rid of those T-shares that were totally forgotten. And this is the good accounting function. Everybody can go in and find the penalized stake that is overdue and good accounted. And when this happens, the T-shares are getting deleted, so to say, but the hex are never minted.
So it basically, instead of like how you said 64 million, 10.7, right? That when you do that, it says about 6 per day roughly. But now it's going to be 63 million, 900, blah, 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 because you're removing 1 out of the pool by the good accounting function, which penalizes them the 1% per week, right?
Exactly.
So could that number of 6 hex per day actually go up? Because there's going to be people who get into right, but also because of the penalties of it, right? Not just in terms of early end staking, but people. I mean, like you see people who I'm sure have come, hey, I lost my shit. Like, what do I do? You're like, well, you can, pray to God that you like make more money so you can do it again. Like that's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, interesting. That's what I thought. Second question, bonus hex.
Maybe I can throw that into here. So we have right now 10 million T-shares, right? Now imagine an entity would come in like Bill Gates and he would also print 10 million T-shares. Now we have 20 million T-shares in existence. What would that mean to the T-shares that I own? They are now worth half, because now I earn not that much percentage, but I earn a little bit less percentage of the whole pool because there are more T-shares in existence. And this is why it's so important that we have the good accounting function, for example, because all the T-shares that are in existence, but people forgot their seed phrases, they will always be in existence if not somebody would call a function the good accounting function to erase those T-shares again, to make the market of hex slick again.
Okay, you and GRC had both mentioned that there's bonus hex. Is this just a nomenclature, like, you know, it means just the interest, or is there something about a bonus in hex that I've never learned?
The bonus hex gives you effective hex. So first of all, the hex that you buy, this is your principal, right? And because you want to stake out, you get some bonus hex in order to buy T-shares. And those bonus hex you will never see in your life. They are just imaginary hex that will allow you to buy T-shares for a lower price. Do we have the possibility to go to go.hex.com?
Yes, I can pull it up.
We can.
And maybe we can even...
What is it called?
Go.hex.com. And then we would need to connect to a MetaMask.
Oh.
I'm not supposed to do that stuff on my computer anymore.
Yeah, same with me. Like I have a new device that that's why I cannot do it right now with this device here. But if you go to go.hex.com, and if you want to stake your hex there, there you see, depending on how many days and how much hex you stake, you get bonus hex. You get bigger pays better bonus. You get longer pays better bonus. And those two bonuses give you a little bit hex on top. Let's say you had 10,000 hex. Now you stake out for that and this long, and now you get a little bit hex on top. Now you have 11,000 hex. And with those 11,000 hex, you buy your T-shares.
Oh, interesting. I was not aware of that. So the bonus is completely separate from the interest rate.
Yes, 100%.
And GRC had mentioned there's like a max bonus. What is how do you get the max bonus in terms of what you had just described, longer pays better and bigger pays better?
Exactly. So we have two bonuses. The bigger pays better is capped out at 150 million hex. So if you stake 150 million hex, you get a bonus of 10%. If you stake less, let's say 100 million hex, then of course you get less bonus. And the longer pays better bonus is capped out at 10 years. For every single year you are staking out longer, you get 20% more bonus hex. And all those bonus hex then, from your 10,000 hex that you had initially, but now you're staking out for 10 years, you get about 30,000 hex bonus, 3 times the much that you had before. And so now because you have
can
more
you run through an example, like if somebody's doing, say, 1 million hex for 11 years, over 10 years, then they get a 30% addition. So they're using 1.3 million hex to buy T-shares.
In your particular example here, because somebody staked for 10 or 11 years, you see the bonus is, the longer pays better bonus is kept at 10 years. It doesn't matter if you stake 10 years or 11 years. The number of T-shares will be the same.
Okay. But there is, you said there's a percentage bonus of some sort that you get that's added to the amount that's burned or something, or how does?
No. So let's say you get 1 T-share for 1 day, all right? But now you stake out for 1 year, so you do not have 1 T-share, you have 1.2 T-shares because you got a bonus on 20%.
Oh, okay. Oh, so the bonus is in terms of the number of T-shares you get.
The bonus, I really wish we could go to go.hex.com because there it's so beautifully shown. The bonus is just to make your buy T-shares for less of a price. So 1 T-share costs 21,000 hex right now, right?
Oh, okay. So you can think about it as a bonus or a discount, depending on how you want.
Yeah, exactly. Like depending on what is your view on it. So
the longer you go, the multiplier for length. There is specific units for it, I'm sure, but I can't tell you them. But I just, from what I've been done on my own time, after 4,000 days or 3,500 days, it just like flatlines at one rate every day. That because I check it out, I look like I'm like 3,500 days, 4,500, and I just keep clicking the button to see what the rate is. And then I noticed if anyone in the chat could tell me what is the number for how many days for the max multiplier.
He was just saying 10 years.
3,650 days, I guess, something like this. It's 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Okay, thank you for explaining that. The last question, and then I'll let you get back into your presentation. Thank you for taking the time to answer these. How can I find the Hex contract to actually read through the Hex contract? Where do I need to go to find the Hex contract?
I would go to etherscan.io and type hex into the search bar. And there somewhere you find the whole code, all the lines written. But I unfortunately cannot read it. So I have to find developers that can read it, and you find them in the Hex Telegram chat.
Cool, gotcha. Okay, I just pulled it up in the background, and I will do that after we get off.
That was some good dev alpha. I didn't know that dev alpha yet. Go to the Telegram chat to get you some dev friends.
Yes, okay. Abit, please go on with your presentation. Thank you so much for the little interlude there to answer my questions.
We're almost done with the presentation. The only thing that there is would be our giveaway, which is not shown, but now we are talking about richardhart.com, about the next 10,000x opportunity. The big problem that we have right now on the Ethereum chain is the transaction fees are so high. There are a lot of people on the highway wanting to go to their destination, and now that's why it takes so long and it's so expensive. And Richard Hart is building a new highway, a full system fork of Ethereum. All your coins that you have right now on the Ethereum network will be on the new network as well. But I guess we do not have to go through that here in this presentation, because you already know everything there is about Pulse and PulseX. And this here is our end of the slide. That's what we put on when we have the Q&A.
Cool.
The
awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This has been fantastic. You taking the time on your day. I had lots of questions. Hopefully this has been valuable to the people in the comments, but that was Abit, thank you. We don't need to get into the details on the pulse chain stuff that I was talking about at the beginning. We can do that at a future date, because it's already been 2 hours. I know I have to go, and I'm assuming you're like, hey, my girlfriend's waiting for me to go to lunch or something like that. So thank you, Abit. I acknowledge you for taking the time, man. I appreciate it too.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed a lot to do this presentation, and don't worry about my girlfriend, because she is listening. She is learning Hex right now as well, because she sees this opportunity and wants to bring her family and friends and community along as well, of course. So guys, thank you so much for having me. Sam, if you have to go, don't worry, maybe GRC and I can talk a bit longer.
I'm staying until this bad boy.
Nice. I bet the chat has some questions to ask as well about Hex. And you see, Hex is an amazing financial product that allows you to earn interest without having counterparty risk. You are using a code to make your own value. I made that example a little bit earlier there when I showed my stake. If I would have bought my Hex, and I'm just using random numbers here, I would have had like $100,000. But because I staked my Hex, today I have $300,000. So all I did is using a code to have my own value, more than I would have had if I would have not staked.
Yeah, that's fast. I didn't know. I don't know how, like, what's going to happen with the front end when Pulse Chain comes out, right? So you have the front end of Hex.com. Is it going to have the same front end to be able to access that, or is the Hex.com like kind of tied to ETH when Pulse Chain comes out?
Go.hex.com will still be available. All you would do is in your MetaMask, you change your setting that you do not want to be on the Ethereum blockchain anymore, but on the Pulse Chain blockchain. How this works really easy. And then go.hex.com would not show you your Hex on the Ethereum side, but your Hex on the Pulse Chain side.
Oh, dope. Okay, cool. That was a question I had, and that's fascinating. Thank you for that. Sweet. Yeah, I do have to run. I got stuff to do. Motley had said that Sam should be here for 1,000. I agree.
I know you're late, Sam. Do your thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'm sure that he'll call me afterwards and we'll talk about it or whatever. So thank you for everybody who's been in the comments, listening and enjoying, liking and subscribing. Appreciate you guys. Without you guys here, this wouldn't be quite as much fun. It's still fun, but it's more fun when other people are involved.
It would just be Sam talking to me on the phone until I lost focus. And then I was like, all right, I got to go. Bye.
Hey, peace out, guys. Abit, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Sam.
Peace out, brother. More, guys. 4 more subscribers. Wow, what an amazing presentation, Abit.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you. I love that you're bringing it in an honestly business-oriented way, not so much like a, oh my God, you're going to make so much money. It's insanity. You're like, guys, we need to understand this thing right here. Like, it doesn't matter about the money. It really doesn't. Because if all these guys started over, they would still make out better than all the people that are buying stupid shit, because they would just start over and it would be quick, a couple years, and they'd be probably back right where they are, because they have the knowledge of the system now. They understand the product. They didn't just get lucky. It didn't just happen. Yes, they found hex at some point and they started researching, but in order to put yourself in a position where you can understand a product like this, you have to do a lot of footwork beforehand, I think.
So now I gave you the tools to understand hex, but now you have to think about it more and more to really make the light bulb goes up. Because in the beginning of the presentation, I made the point where Warren Buffett or all the rich guys in the world used compounding interest in order to get generational wealth. And we are using compounding interest in hex as well. And we were just calculating it as well, how it works. So do you remember those numbers, how you do the calculation, the daily inflation and where it goes to?
Me?
Yeah, I just wanted to test you quick. I do that with my girlfriend all the time.
Ask me the question one more time.
Can you remember the calculation on how much hex you earn per 1 T-share?
Yeah, 6, roughly.
Yeah, but can you do you understand why this calculation is so important? Because right now the inflation is 64 million hex every single day. Where does it go to? To all the T-shares in existence. And those two numbers, we know math. We know 2 + 2 is 4, and it won't change in the future. So this one number must go higher. This other number must go down. And this is our compounding effect that we have in hex.
How did Richard Hart come up with this?
He did not. He had no idea.
How did this product come to be? Like who?
So Richard Hart started with his idea, and then it evolved into hex. He was asking the community, hey guys, how can we make that more efficient? And then the dev Kyle, he came and said, hey Richard, if you do it this way, it's going to be really ineffective. What you need are T-shares. And he pitched his idea of T-shares to Richard Hart, and this innovative idea was born.
I wanted to click over, guys. Wow.
Come on, let's do it.
Come on. One more, guys. One more subscriber. All you haters out there, click the button and then click it away when you leave. I want to see it go over 1,000. And
you know what you can do once you are at the 1,000 subscribers? You can activate the super chat. And I'm telling you, the guys, the Hexicans, they love that you are doing this daily content. You are inspiring me to get up earlier so I can watch your stream.
That's what I love. That's why I did it in the morning, because I wanted the people in California and over, because it's all hours before, I wanted them to all have an incentive to wake up early, because when you wake up early, hey, you son of a gun, whoever unfollowed that, you're going to hell. Let's go.
Oh, he's back again. Maybe he just unsubscribed to subscribe again. And there we go. Oh.
Let's go.
Thanks for 1,000 subs. Nice.
Let's go. Oh, let's
go. Congratulations.
Guys,
Rat Chapter, that's amazing. For how long have you had this?
37 days, 12 hours of work per day. Fucking, it was fun as crap. That was a fun little goal that I had there. I have a little bit of OCD, so when I have a goal, I just like, it's just a number. I just like when the number clicks over. I don't even care about all the other stuff. I do a little bit, but I'll get into that later. Thank you so much, guys. This has been so much fun. I am doing this for the right reasons, and I'm going to be here long term. I don't give a shit who tries to stop me, who tries to fucking steal my shit. It doesn't matter. I got the whole community with me. We're all learning together. That's all this is all about. And I'm just going to dedicate my life to, trying to change the world with all these guys. Boom. That was awesome.
Nice. Congratulations, Jim Redmond.
So now I can put the screen away. Yes, guys, thank you so much. Is there any questions in the chat for Abit about Hex? Any new guys in here? What's going on? Let us know if you have any questions overall. We don't care if it's a stupid question. Get it on the table now so you can have a time with Abit to get a nice answer.
There are no stupid questions out there. Every question must be answered.
And people don't think some of these questions, they feel embarrassed. I don't feel embarrassed because I'm from a different community. We're intellectual, where I was, there wasn't that much intellectual pressure. Nobody cared if you were smart. They all cared if you were bodybuilding, right? Like they weren't like, oh, who's smarter? They were just like, who's bigger, who's eating better, who's working harder. And the difference, it's a little bit different in this community, you know, because it's like people have all this intellectual pride. Like I need to be smart. No, nobody's smart. You have to learn every day. There's no chance. Abit knows. He even said it on the stream. I'm falling behind on pulsechain. I got to double up on some of my videos he's watching. And I reminded him that throughout the whole pulsechain thing, all these guys are going to be doing their thing, teaching people. I'm going to be right here, making sure every single update is getting questions asked about it, clear understanding so that we can move forward. Because it's going to be a complicated time for some people.
Well, I think in bodybuilding you have another kind of ego. There you just want to lift more than the next guy. I know that, like I did bodybuilding myself when I was younger, like from 17 to 25, and I had my peak when I was 23, something like this. So I love the sport, and I think it's so cool that you're doing that too.
Yeah, I don't even do it seriously anymore. I just do it but I'm excited. I was talking to Sam. I said I might do another little run, see how I can do it. I'll do photo shoots and shit for Hex. I don't give a fuck. Like, why not? Stuff like that, you know, like you can do. Everyone's got a different thing that they're good at the time. Like, it doesn't have to be all egotistical. I got all that egotistical stuff out of my system. I really did. I don't care so much about it anymore. I went around the city trying to act like I was cooler than I was, trying to do things that I didn't have the money to do yet. And I was just at some point, I was just like, fuck this shit. Like, why can't I just want to put my mind to something and just move into that? Because I realized in life, you only have your family, your girlfriend, and a couple people, and then you just got to work, right? You want to do what your passion, you want to change the world.
And right now, my passion is onboarding people into Hex every single day. When I open my eyes, I cannot think about anything else, and that's my work now. I dedicated my life, just like you, to Hex.com. I saw some questions here in the chat from AK, for example. Why is a 30-day rolling stake a bad idea? What if I want a 30-day passive income to meet my monthly needs? Well, of course, you can do that. You can take all your financial energy, stake it for 30 days. You still be profitable because you probably have enough money to stake and the fees are not that problem for you. But you're losing a big opportunity because the T-share price is only going up. The T-share price, when I made my stakes, you guys will never see again because the T-share price can only go up. And T-shirt price, like the T-shirts that you have, they grant you the Hex every single day. And as more T-shirts you have, as more inflation you get from the system. So doing short stakes and then the T-shirt price going up, the next couple of 30 days, you will earn less Hex than you did in the first 30 days.
So it's basically about opportunity cost. It's just
it's
like
a big
you're
opportunity
making
loss,
money, but you could be making a lot more with a rate that's locked in.
Yeah. Just by using the code, right? You use the code and what is implemented in the code. Bigger pays better and longer pays better. So just by using those two things, you are making more value for yourself. And then another question was, will you be in New England on the next tour? We will be 100% in New England on the next tour. The only thing that needs to happen is the fork needs to come out.
What do you think about, are you involved with the PulseCon thing? I know you're in one way or another, but like, because you'd probably be there, but are you involved?
The answer is plain and simple, no. I'm not involved in PulseCon at all because I have my own stuff. I'm so busy that I cannot think about PulseCon even. For me, it's so far away.
I was just thinking, what if it doesn't come out though?
I hope it comes out.
I
hope for Team Money that it comes out. It would be not cool if it wouldn't be out by then, but hey, it can happen. Like, I don't know. Maybe not the smartest decision to make it public already before it's out, because that's exactly what I did. I did that 7 months ago. I said, pulsechain is launching. Let's have a pulsechain car. I will explain pulsechain on the tour. And we can make a lot of transactions. It never launched. Software is hard. It takes a long time. I learned from that. And that's why for this time, I said, first, the fork needs to be there. And then I will do the tour.
Yeah, I always get worried as I move forward in this journey. I get worried about people. I don't have anything negative to say about projects that don't exist yet, but I have to be I have to be worried about everything that I promote now, because even if you just do it inadvertently, if people get their money, if they lose money on whatever you're talking about, they're going to be inherently upset. They're not going to remember the dialogue of the conversation that you had during the stream when you were saying, do your own research, do never buy anything that you don't, they don't remember that. So I want to be careful. I want to protect myself. RH has proven himself to me as someone who's trustworthy. And whatever that means to someone else, it doesn't matter. But what it means to me is, everything he said so far has been pretty darn accurate. Yeah, his ego gets in his way a little bit, but who the heck doesn't? Mine does too.
Richard Hart is doing so good nowadays. Like
So
2 years ago, he was swearing like in every single sentence, calling every single body out and calling everybody stupid. He's doing really good today.
Abit, RR, and everyone is talking about a 8,000x on PulseX in 2 years. In my opinion, I think that that's totally possible. But again, there could be a world war.
No, I don't think so. That's World War is even less.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you can't necessarily predict what's going to happen. Like,
yeah,
we saw a whole pandemic occur, and so it's hard to say what's going to happen. But if you really look into these things, like, you're going to notice the economic mass and the opportunity is disgusting. It's just disgusting. There's too much upside. There's just so much upside. It's ridiculous. It's like, if you were going to have an opportunity to do this once in your life, like, I'd be willing to risk a little bit. Like, whatever else am I going to put my money down the toilet?
And these X's, like 8,000 X's, 10,000 X, this number is so high. Does it really matter if it happens in 2 years or in 5 years? This is life-changing wealth where other people would work their life for it, and you are just delaying gratification for 2 years. Not go to a restaurant for 1 week and stake out $100 for 15 years. Life-changing wealth you will generate out of that.
Abit, it's been so amazing having you on.
Thank you.
I enjoy your friendship. I'm glad we know each other now.
Yeah, it's amazing that.
This is amazing.
The first time I went onto your chat, I was at the Crypto WorldCon, right? This was a little bit hectic, a little bit loud, so I really.
No, that was actually you presented yourself. I looked back at that, and you were a pro. You were moving around. You were finding the internet spots. That was actually pretty good. And I think that was a really good just a drop about what you're doing in the future with the pulsechain launch. Do you want to talk about any of this stuff specifically before we go?
Oh yeah, please, let's do that. Like for me, the most important thing right now is that the people go to pumphex.com. That's my personal domain. I just like to present my little fun little projects that I have there. It's not really running yet, but once the fork is out, we will have the next tour, and we will call it 1 million pulse tour or million pulse tour, because we do not know how many millions we will give out at every single workshop. So we want to give out at least 1 million pulse in every single workshop. And this workshop will be an interactive workshop where people actually get, let's say, a little bit of pulse, 1,000 pulse. They use that pulse in order to buy hex, stake hex, provide liquidity, use pulse to delegate, use PulseX to farm yield in the liquidity pools, an interactive workshop where everybody can do transactions. Because like I said in the beginning of the workshop, why people are not using Hex or all of the other cryptos is because they're afraid to lose their money. They do not know how to do things. And that's why on the next tour, we need to interactive workshop where actually every single body can do transactions on the blockchain. And then, of course, the 1 million pulse that we give away, I bet this will draw the people as well.
It would certainly draw me. I cannot wait to come to one of these tours, dude. I am so excited to show up and just get involved in that however I can and learn more about all this stuff as it's unfolding.
And then the next domain I want to chill is hexmeetups.com. This site is made by Kaylin Black Hexagon. She was the tour manager of our whole tour, and now she got promoted again. She got promoted like 3 times this year, and now she is the CEO of the Crypto Sparbuch LLC. And she made hexmeetups.com in order to have events for the community where people can come together and maybe already discuss the Million Pulse Tour. I think the first event is something in June or July. You see a couple of things are in there already. And this site will connect the people on the tour and maybe even build communities even before we are in the cities. Because what I want to do with pumphex.com is build a little community before we do the workshop there, so they can already draw new people in. The last tour, we wanted to do the same thing as well, of course, but we had no time planning. And this time we have a lot of time planning, and the results you see right here in the calendar.
I've already entered my email into this website so I could get the email updates, because I want to know when this shit's going down so I can party with my friends.
Nice. Go screen share a little bit more and go up to the right there in the site. It should say something like international or something like that. We have Europe there. Do we have more?
There's USA, Europe, Alabama, Nevada.
There is something big coming up on this site. I just wanted to check if it's up already. So if it's not, I'm probably not able to talk about that.
Go to featured.
But it is something really, really big, and I cannot wait for that. Yeah, that is Hex Cruise 2023. When you click on that, Kalen is organizing a cruise, and about 100, 200, maybe 300 hexagons could go on that cruise and have a 4-day event with just casual meetups, partying with all the hexagons and stuff like this. And the interesting thing here is this boat will have about 1,500 people, and if 200 or 300 hexagons are on that boat, I bet you all the other people will be onboarded in those 4 days.
The whole cruise is going to be onboarded. They're going to be like, what are these guys smoking? And people on cruise, that's a good place to onboard people, where they're happy, they're feeling loose, they're, they relax a little bit, they maybe think about future business stuff.
So that's a really big thing coming up. And
you'll be on the cruise, right, Abit?
I will be on the cruise for sure. And what we want to do with hexmeetups.com is not only bring the community together and have the community connect and network, but also we want to find some funding for the Million Pulse Tour. Because you asked me, when is it gonna happen? And we need actually two things. We need the funding for the tour, because we, the Crypto Sparrow team, the tour got so big we cannot do it alone anymore. We want to give it to the Hex community. This whole tour must be a community tour, basically, where the funding comes from a community. This is the first part, easy to do. Hexagons fund things all the time. But the second thing is maybe even a little bit harder. We need all the hexagons being on the streets, helping, presenting the workshop, maybe setting up equipment, maybe driving somewhere, stuff like that. So actually we need some manpower as well. I would love
to be a part of the pushing of people helping, and when I can help, I would love to. I think people would love to, as long as we can project the message. I think many of people, it's all about getting the message out there. Exactly. And just letting people know what's going on here. Just, let them know what we're trying to do. This is some really groundbreaking stuff, guys, and Abit is on the cutting edge of it, and he's trying to push it as hard as he can, because he knows how important this is, and that's why he said when he wakes up every morning, he can't think about anything else.
Exactly. And you said so great. We are on the cutting edge of crypto. It's not even out yet. We know the product market fit will happen, and we can now take advantage. So what I'm saying is, get a big community, invest in Pulse and PulseX, and let's get all rich together so we can make an impact in this world. That's what I want to do.
And there's no better way to end it than that, guys. That's exactly what I want to do as well. We have the financial products now. Now all we have to do is change the world. We got to let the people know that they're getting robbed, they're getting scammed, their money is going down the toilet, and they're being told that it's being done for the right reasons, and it is not. I can promise you that, guys. Thank you so much, Abit, for coming on. Hopefully next time you have an update or a presentation, swing it on by. Anytime you want to come on, please come on, guys. Hex in the morning. Abit, great to see you, brother.
Thank you.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.